And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are halfway through our Thursday night broadcast here of the Overwatch League. If you're just joining us, I'm Achilles. Wolf's on the other side. I think he's to my, I don't know if he's on my right or my left. I'm not really sure. I can't see the boxes. So either way,
I think I'm on the right of the screen.
He's in the graphic, so he's somewhere. But welcome back, guys. Our second series of the evening getting ready to come up. This is going to be the battle for Los Angeles, the Gladiators versus the Valiant.
Yeah, definitely the better of the two matchups today. I mean, this is a historical matchup.
Especially historically, yeah.
Yeah, and I think on paper it should be a much closer series than the one we just watched, you know, which did at the end of the day end up kind of looking like a stomp. It wasn't like a mega stomp, but, you know, spoilers for those who missed it, but what are you doing tuning in late? Pretty one-sided series we had before. I think this one's going to be better. I think this one will at least go to 4 maps. That's my scoreline prediction, is at least 4 maps. I'll give you that one.
Well, very possible. We will, however, in addition to the interviews, have a new segment coming onto the broadcast. Again, this is going to be Connections presented by Xfinity, as we're going to take a closer look at the history of the Battle of LA, as well as a certain player who has been on both of these teams.
When you take a look at these, you can see all the matchups, all the history. Most importantly is in recent times, obviously the Gladiators took the last 2 matchups against each other in 2019, but
Correct.
Valiant still currently has the all-time winning record of 4-3. So a win here for the Gladiators, if they take it, will tie them 4-4. Well, 4-4 in terms of wins there, but
yeah.
Maps 15-4 as well. So, you know, it's been one-sided on both sides. It was one-sided for the Valiant at the beginning, then that kind of flipped into Gladiators. So in total maps, like 15-4 with 2 draws historically is pretty close. But yeah, moving into the space side of things, this is a player who actually gets to be on both sides of a rivalry on both teams. He played obviously for the Los Angeles Valiant for a long time. This season now moving into the Gladiators. His stats have looked better overall in the Gladiators. Now it's over a shorter period of time, and the Gladiators have had a great start here to the 2020 season. But now he has a chance to defeat his old teammates here on a roster he looks, on paper, stronger with so far.
Yeah, I mean, all of the metrics that we're measuring here just kind of going up. Like you said, not as big of a pool, obviously, to draw from, but still a very positive trend for space moving over onto the Gladiators. Either way, though, whenever you have a member of a team switch over onto the rival squad, you hear from them in the interviews, I want to smash them. I want to take down my former teammates, that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping to see some spice brought out here from space, even though the majority of the Valiant, there's a lot of new faces on there, rather than a lot of the people that he previously played against. But it's the principle of the matter. It's the name alone that he's going to be looking, that battle for LA, that's the reason why he's going to be looking to take him down. But that's our Connections presented by Xfinity. Be taking more deep dives throughout the rest of this 2020 season, so hope you guys are looking forward to that. I know Wolf especially is always ready to dive into a bit of history lesson.
You know I am. You know Professor Wolf is always down to look back into the past and almost sometimes overshadow the present with the past.
Well, it's okay. I'm going to bring
too much.
I'm going to bring the present to you guys right now as we take a look at the starting lineup for the Los Angeles Gladiators here in this battle for LA. We're going to have Mirror and Birdring starting things off as that DPS duo, and of course OG and Space with Big Goose and Shaz.
So the cool thing about this historically for the Gladiators is this is the most different roster they've ever had throughout this matchup versus the Valiant over the last 2 and now 2.5-ish years. The only thing that really remains the same is a support lineup, Big Goose and Shaz. Shaz, probably the best Western flex support. I mean, I always say that, sound like a broken record.
He's more like a Marriott dude. He's pretty good. I'm so ashamed.
Never thought
Goodbye.
that. All right, goodbye,
everyone.
Oh my God, I'm gonna beat you. But yeah, he is one of the best flex supports from the West. I always say that. I know people always quote me as saying that and make fun of me for saying that, but I think he's really, really solid, especially on Zenyatta. Birdring has been doing great for them this season. Mira's coming in as a new rising star player in the Overwatch League as a rookie. OG looking way better on this team than he has on the Dallas Fuel. And I think the Gladiators, once again, the trend continues. I think they come in as big favorites here against LA Valiant.
Well, we'll have to see. Valiant have delivered on some, surprising finishes in some of these games. They're taking more maps than maybe we had anticipated. But we'll go ahead and take a look at their starting 6. And I see that we will have KSP and Shax as the DPS starting duo.
Yep, KSP and Shax. Sombra back in the lineup this week. Tracer as well, another great hero for Shax. KSP won't be able to play any of his long-range hit scan, but he's got a pretty wide hero pool. You've got Dreamer in. He's made waves on main tank this season so far, and then the Korean support duo of Lastro and Rain. Both teammates reunited here on the Valiant. And, this is not a matchup that, even though the Gladiators look so strong right now, that Valiant can't necessarily steal away. We've seen, especially in the North American side of things, a lot of games and series lost by favorite teams. Shock comes to mind, for example. There's a lot of ups and downs, so this roster absolutely could steal a map or two away, maybe the series if momentum goes in their favor.
Especially the way that Dreamer has been playing as of late. It's been absolutely crushing. But let's go ahead and take a look at our map set here, see where we are headed for this series. Starting things off in Control, it will be Busan. Then we'll go back to Route 66 as well as Hollywood for Escort in map number 3. Whether or not we're going to go deeper than that, we'll just have to wait and find out. You predicted 4 maps. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you, Wolf. It seems like that is the likely number to end up with. But we'll see what happens as we do go ahead and dive into the gameplay.
Yeah, Busan, starting map here where you're going to get a little bit of a taste of what these squads want to run. We'll have to wait and see what heroes they do pop out of the spawn with before we can really get that information, because what we're seeing right now is obviously not real. Don't think we're going to see the good old Soldier 76 Genji. Soldiers dive because he can run fast, right?
I would say I was more impressed by the Ashe hover right here, and that seems more unlikely to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think we're going to see Double Shield, Doomfist, Reaper on the side of the Gladiators, but the Valiant, they're not kidding with the Ashe. It's real.
No way. Okay, KSP is actually going to be running this for now, and I'm very excited. Mirror's already dead. They're making it happen. KSP gets a headshot in onto OG, weakening him. Now looking for some additional targets as Shax sits here onto the low ground, trying to get rid of OG. Takes him low, but can't quite get the execute. But incredibly surprising start for the Valiant.
Yeah, and Gladiators are not
rather successful.
They're not just going to keep the same composition as Mirror trades a kill back here.
Okay, well, that's going to be KSP getting taken down. Shax has managed to find Bird Ring. Finishing off with that melee hit. Halt the Dragon off the top. Rain doesn't have anywhere to float back to. So we'll just get finished off, and it's going to be a very fast flip back into the favor of the LA Gladiators as McGravy does get finished off.
That should not have happened, but Mirror gets that stray kill, and they rush back in. And they swapped Mirror, obviously, off of the Doomfist onto the Sombra. It's going to give him a lot more pressure as KSP just overextends here, trying to peek corners. But Rez comes through. He does have Bob available.
Mirror manages to find Lastro already. Getting rid of him as Big Goose will fall to Shax, who is since swapped over onto that Torbjorn, of course. But with the chase forward outside of the spawn, LA Gladiators are looking utterly dominant, only losing out on Big Goose, who can very quickly rejoin with his squad with the speed boost. Yeah. It should be okay. KSP, though, is still sticking through with the Ashe.
Which is weird. He's going to have to get some stray headshots here at range. I mean, he doesn't have line of sight. He's firing at shields. They don't have anything to mitigate the Sombra EMP either. There's no sound barrier. And obviously the Immortality Field is going to be very difficult to execute here versus that EMP.
Uh-oh. Don't want any of that. Don't want any of that either. Immortality Field will come up to keep him safe from all the approaching dangers. People trying to prey on this poor Ashe right here. We'll go ahead, take the shotgun blast up onto the high ground as Big Goose continues to run disruption, keeping people off of that platform. Into the back goes Mirror, drops the EMP, manages to catch 5 members on the side of the Valiant. The cleanup follows through very quickly thereafter as McGravy will get knocked out of that mech, and in all likelihood, never mind, I was going to say he would be staggered out, but they just go ahead and finish him off. Some mercy being shown by the Gladiators.
Yeah, it's a 5-man EMP. Lastro gets caught, so he can't even use his Immortality Field. The composition we're seeing from Valiant, there's a lot of caster words we like to use for this, like interesting or unique. This time I'm going to use the different one of maybe perhaps fan service. I don't know. about this Ashe pick. It's not working well.
It is not, but hey, we're just 13% away from Bob making a reappearance here. Shax, however, does manage to find Big Goose, so a very positive start of the fight for them, as KSP will be able to knock down OG. The question is, if they can get entrenched on the point, if they can flip this rather, will they be able to hold it? The roll through comes through from Dreamer, but he's still got just a sliver of HP remaining on himself. Rez comes out from Rain to put Lastro back into the mix.
There's Bob.
Bob's going to be charging over past the staircase. Ravidic Flux looking to come out. KSP trying to jump back, but just gets hounded down by multiple members. Burning with the Death Blossom will be able to finish him off. Bob in the back does manage to find Mirror, but is that going to be enough? Can Bob put the team on his back? The answer is no, he can't.
They didn't have,
and Gladiators take first round.
Yeah, they didn't have good answer for EMP when the switch came through for Mirror. The problem with Ashe is she kind of falls somewhere between both removed long-range hit scans in McCree and Widowmaker. She doesn't have the one-shot potential that Widowmaker has at a large range. Yes, she can one-shot some heroes and she can pick heroes off, but she does a little bit more consistent damage to the Widow, but not as much consistent damage as McCree does when she gets dove upon. She doesn't have great lockdown like McCree does with the flashbang. So she kind of sits right between those two heroes, but doesn't do either things well enough, the consistent damage nor the pick potential, and struggled against that EMP. The Bob not working out too well. Looks like we're going to see a Reaper teleport after the Symmetra teleporter there. And Valiant just going to try to run Tracer.
Yeah, taking a lot of damage early. Rain stunned up by that accretion, but seems like the burst healing will be enough to keep him alive for the moment. I mean, just looking at the HP bars in that top right corner, you can see just consistently damage being pushed out onto the Valiant. Compared to the Gladiators, it's just not nearly there. Or not really there, rather. McGravy does manage to go ahead and run over OG. As Bird Ring falls lower and lower. Mirror going to have to kite back with the seismic slam, goes back to the top of the staircase, and now the Coalescence is going to be rolling through from Shaz. That's going to be the go button for the rest of the Gladiators as they try to make their way over to the point, but Mirror still being hounded down, will get picked off from behind by Shax. Is that going to be enough for them to maintain control here? Looks like the answer might just be yes, because Bird Ring follows suit, joining him in the grave. The sound barrier's out now from both of these teams. Shields melting away as the Pulse Bomb goes forward. Shax manages to find Big Goose, follows up onto OG, and Shax is starting to pop the hell off.
Yeah, Shax, I mean, absolutely, basically by himself, guaranteed the hold there. Great Pulse Bomb. Narrowly avoids getting killed by it with the recall there, but makes his way through. And Shax is the big story here for Valiant on this Tracer, getting those pickoffs in the back line, threatening the tank line as well. Sound barrier helping keep him alive and up in the front line oftentimes. It's going to force the Gladiators, going to swap Mirror over to this Torbjorn as a potential counter.
KSP just going to be plus forwarding with the Death Blossom. Does get taken down to the back end by Big Goose, who follows up for another kill onto Shax, but the damage is done as he does manage to find 3 people with that ultimate. So Valiant still going to be sitting pretty, maintaining control, nearly at 60% now here on the mecha base point of Busan.
Yeah, the choke point control there from KSP was really well executed. And you can see with the meta composition, they look a lot stronger here. Coalescence now to try to hold this one.
People getting booped left, right, and center. As the damage continues to go forward, Dreamer trying to stay alive, as is McGravy. Will get knocked out of that mech, but has the self-destruct. Bird Ring over on the side, uses the Death Blossom, only finds KSP for his trouble. But a pick is a pick. Core now coming through, down over towards the point. Mirror gonna be overcharging, pushing forward. The Pulse Bomb out from Shax, this time finds space, but Mirror with the turret will be able to come up with 2 kills, getting rid of 2 of the more elusive members on the side of the Valiant. And the fluke will be there. 91%, however, built up for the Valiant, so time is certainly on their side.
Great. I mean, several ultimates were used really well there. Bird Ring's Death Blossom helps split the team up, which obviously gets them a pick, but then allows Mirror's Molten Core to help cut the team in half further on the point. Then you see Space isolate himself when he's Pulse Bomb there, so he doesn't really do any more damage to the rest of his team as he does kind of die alone. Now they've got the choke under control.
That they do. You're just going to be pumping away trying to get that Molten Core online, and he is surging towards that ultimate at the moment. Astro only able to find the turret so far. Gravitic Flux going to be catching multiple members. The slam back down. Space will be able to get rid of Shax as they continue to look for more members of the Valiant. KSP and Dreamer will both fall. Grizz chase forward does come through, and you can see, yeah, McGravy in just a rough position. Couldn't get through the doorway to get back to the safety of the rest of his squad, so gets picked off last for a little bit of extra stagger.
Sure.
Gladiators have bought themselves half a point so far.
OG, man, with the halt there to pull everyone into space as Flux. That was really nice teamwork there between the tank line. You've already got the choke controlled. You let them step over that line, and then you set up that combo.
Death Blossom comes through from KSP, looking pretty successful so far, manages to find 2. OG going to be taken down as well, so very great team fight so far for the Valiant. Birdwing tries to answer back, but Shax shuts him down after losing on Rain. And this will be the push back over onto the point. 91% ticking up yet again are the Valiant. Coalescence rolling through. They're looking to get a finishing blow here onto space. They will be able to burn him down. Can anyone tag? This one's going to be yes. They force out the OT as the Molten Core comes through from Mirror. Big Goose, however, nowhere to go. Does get right clicks down by Lastro, who is sitting in the middle of all of this lava. Can't really advance to either side, but it will finally clear out so he can start rotating around the sides of the point to make sure that he keeps his teammates alive. Takes a little bit of damage. Pile Driver coming through from OG, who swaps over onto the Wrecking Ball. Does not lead to much. Mirror's only able to find 1, and he will get finished off. Now it's Big Goose all on his lonesome, but to no avail. Cannot hold them off, cannot buy enough time for his teammates. So 179%. This round goes to the Valiant. We are tied up 1-1.
KSP obviously has been a great Reaper player when Reaper is relevant in the meta, which hasn't been always. I feel like everyone's tired of seeing Reaper right now, but listen up, those who just started watching the Overwatch League fairly recently. There was a time where Reaper was irrelevant for a really long time, but
yes.
Anyway, he had 2 great Death Blossoms there to really help secure that round of Mecha Base. And despite the Gladiators' best efforts, Birdwing's Death Blossoms were not as impactful. His last one there was used way too late. He knew there was not going to be much time to take another fight, so he wanted to use it and hope for a turnaround. Didn't happen. And we're going to see Ashe again, which has me a bit worried. I always love to see some Lastros in Yada, though, and that Discord Orb can definitely help her be a lot more potent and help set up more picks.
We'll see if the Ashe Tracer can have a little bit more luck this time around. Tracer so far is doing well in that regard. Shax comes up with a kill onto OG. Dynamite into the back. Just going to be burning away at a couple members, but overall not netting too much. But the point is now unlocked. And it is the Valiant who have that inside track, so we'll be able to get the first lockdown. KSP under a little bit of fire, jumps up into the air to avoid that pile driver. Dynamite coming through, and Birdwing picked off. KSP manages to find that kill before he can get hounded down. Still going to be on the rotation, however. As you can see, Shaz and Space both pushing forward. We'll be able to eliminate him, and it's looking like a very fast flip into the favor of the Gladiators here, so very reminiscent of the first point. Valiant, however, still fighting back, still trying to delay. But with McGravy falling and now Shaq's gone, their delay tactics have been eliminated, so 23% is all they can accrue.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could see in KSP's first-person perspective there, too. He's just so incredibly good at Ashe. You can't doubt his mechanical skill, his ability to play the hero well. What you can also see is just how difficult it is to slot Ashe into professional play. Doesn't have the damage output to kill the heroes that are diving upon him, nor does he have the escape ability to survive in a situation like that after doing massive damage and picking Birdwing. It's just tough to be an Ashe main right now.
Yep, as well as the Mercy who's trying to pocket set Ashe. Mirror is going to be able to clean up both supports. KSP does manage to find 1 on the Big Goose with the help of that Dynamite.
Okay.
Birdwing will fall, so they start trading this one back into their favor. Turret burns down Space, Shax gets Mirror, so just like that, Valiant gonna work their way over onto the point, get the finishing blow onto Shaz. OG does manage to get McGravy one last time before falling, but it will be an exchange between those two. The res is out, so the D.Va's back into the fight, can remech, and Valiant, they're just going to be looking to inch past and get that lead.
Yeah, and this time, you know, the swap to Sombra a little bit late, and actually Birdwing cancels that. Well, he's deciding a lot here, which is going to cost him a lot of percentage points. He does stick with the Sombra at the end of the day, but it's a much later Sombra than what we saw last time, which gives the Valiant a lot more time to respond to those EMPs they failed to on our first round downtown. See if they can make this happen, make Ashe win a map here in the Overwatch League.
Yeah, ton of pressure coming out onto these barriers. Space's shield doesn't really last too long. Uses the Gravitic Flux, manages to catch a couple, but in the meantime, Dreamer gets rid of Birdwing. So going to be further delaying that EMP that they so desperately need to try and take this point back. Gravy doesn't find much with the self-destruct, but KSP again with the Dynamite gets rid of Big Goose. Turns out that that is his weakness. This burns him down continuously. We get a burning. Core comes out onto the point. Doesn't have too many people to catch, however, because everybody's dead on the side of the Gladiators.
Shaq's doing a great job of dealing with the Sombra, and we're going to see one last-ditch attempt from the Gladiators to run a tanky composition here. Bring in Mirror on the Doomfist for pick potential. If he can get any kills, then that can help them win this, and then they're going to bring OGE back on Disruption and Stall with Birdwing on self-sustain here with the Reaper. One more shot with this Sound Barrier is all they've got. Supercharger pretty early here.
And tossed in, just going to be trying to chip away at them as they make their way over onto the point. Sound Barrier shield's going to be expiring here from Big Goose. Shaz manages to find Rain with the Coalescence. KSP looking for some targets. The flip is back through in favor of the Gladiators, and Bob was not long for this world, unfortunately. Does get taken down by Birdwing.
I think, you know, if KSP just swaps here, Valiant have a great shot at this. You know, I mean, the comp that Gladiators ran here was perfect to fight with the Sound Barrier against a team that didn't have great counter support ultimates. And I would love to see just a swap over to something like a Reaper here. And that's exactly what he's going to do, because you have that extra 30%, you have the buffer. And if you just win one team fight with a Molten Core, you win the map. And there's no reason to try to push in with Ashe against this comp. It's just too risky. Like this a lot.
Yeah, it's so many flanks that could be coming through, whether it's with the Rocket Punch or that Shadow Step. Already into the back line, though, looking to isolate Lastro. They do so with a lot of success. Instantly burn him down, but Mirror will get traded out. Shaz finds Shax as the Molten Core comes through, so doesn't get nearly enough value from that Torb ult as they would like. TP into the back there from Birdwing. Looking to melt them down. Somebody's got to tag in. The Gravy and OG both over on the point. Rain as well, looking to get the flip over into their favor. Gladiators not really contesting, but they start making their way over. Nano Goose tossed in. KSP, the recipient, nearly has that Death Blossom ready to go. Perfect D-Matrix is out from space. He is peeling wonderfully from Birdwing, keeping himself at range from the enemy Reaper. Nearly gets knocked out of the mech, but the Sound Barrier comes through from Big Goose. Be a 4v5, but they start turning this one around. Birdwing with the Death Blossom manages to find two.
Birdwing with the big one.
The Gravy out of the mech. Big Goose finishes off the baby D.Va. The flip coming through now. LA Gladiators back in control. OT starting to plummet very rapidly. Dreamer makes his way over onto the point. Pile drives back down. Gets the lock-in onto the drum. Nope, doesn't have it yet. Has to roll back the other way, but is already so very low. As Lastro gets picked off, they need that burst healing coming through from the Moira to try to keep this Wrecking Ball sustained. And Death Blossom now out from KSB, but he is met with nothing but sadness and failure with that ultimate. Instant Death Blossom is there. Or Instant D-Matrix is there, rather, onto the Death Blossom from space to shut it down. Bomb up over the top, finds the pick onto the Wrecking Ball. And LA Valiant, they continue to try and delay this fight, to elongate it, to try to get this back into their favor, but it seems less and less likely as time goes on. Because with the right click finds Shaq's Rain going to fall, and there you go, they finally have displaced them off of the point. They win Sanctuary, they win Busan, 1-0 for the Gladiators.
Great plays from the tank line there to secure this, though. OG getting that opening pick, helping disrupt and delay, and space just all over that map. Chasing down weakened targets, absorbing, as you mentioned, the Death Blossom coming through there, making sure that Reaper ultimate isn't able to help clean things up. Once that's shut down and absorbed, it's just trickling of heroes one by one onto the point, and the Gladiators are able to take it. I respect the Valiant trying out the Ashe, but I feel like they almost won the map in spite of the Ashe, not because of the Ashe in a lot of ways. I think they could have just run a more meta composition to take the map, but I'm always excited to see teams try new things. I was happy when Dallas proved that Tracer could be run against Torbjorn, and now other teams are more confident in running that as well. So maybe eventually we'll see this Ashe strategy start to prevail, but not yet, not yet.
Well, for now, the Valiant trying to break away from the bonds of the meta here this week from what we've seen, that Reaper Doomfist. They're trying to shake things up a little bit, and I think you said it best, in spite of playing the Ashe, nearly was able to get that victory there on Busan. But either way, if we're going to get more maps like this throughout this series, then I'm very excited to see how deep this rabbit hole goes and what else the Valiant might have up their sleeve. That's map one out of the way, though, guys. We got plenty more coming up, but for now, a quick little break, so we'll see you in a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renter's insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
And by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, guys. A very exciting first map in this series, the battle for LA, but Busan was able to be taken by the Gladiators in the end, despite the best efforts of KSP with his Ashe. But again, I'm hoping that we see more of this comp evolution coming through from the Valiant as we continue to press forward, because you know, Wolf knows this. I'm sure a lot of people know this if they've ever watched me stream. I really like Ashe, and I'm always very happy to see her played in the Overwatch League. Only other time I think you and I, Wolf, have gotten to commentate Ashe play was Shanghai Dragons last season.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
D.Va on the hero. I think it was Anubis when we got to cast that.
It was Anubis. I think it was also the only time that really D.Va came into play as well. So
yeah. We saw Yangzhou Long play it a little bit for the Chengdu Hunters, but we didn't cast that, so we got unlucky.
True. Very true. But we are going to continue forward, though, because map 1 out of the way. We have to see if Valiant is going to be able to bounce back and put a tie on the board for us, give us that 1-1. You're predicting 4 maps in this series. I tend to agree. So we'll see if that can be, you know, made happen right now, as we will take a look at our map set and see where we are headed for that map number 2. And if memory does serve correct, then I believe it's Route 66 yet again.
Yep, that's right. Back-to-back Route 66s here.
And Hollywood for map 3. There we go.
Yeah. So
I got it.
We're heading in the same direction. I feel like this is a map. I don't want to say that Ashe is going to happen
this is a
or
map.
anything like that, but
You're
this
right.
is a map where it's a map, in fact. But this is a map where Ashe, you know, could get some value. I mean, there's certainly opportunity to use Ashe on this map depending on the comps. There's a lot of high ground she can get to really easily. She doesn't have Widow Grapple, but she's basically got the next best thing with her ability to blast herself up onto high ground. So, I mean, I'd love to see it. You know, you talked about how you really like Ashe, and, you know, I think a lot of people really want to see more Ashe in competitive play. She's got some buffs coming online later on, but for me, like, I just like to see non-meta heroes in general. I think everybody likes that feeling of, wow, I can't believe they're playing this character, this hero, no matter what esport you're talking about, and they're making it work. Unbelievable. Sure. I think that's a feeling that even if you're not a Valiant fan and you're cheering for the Gladiators, you're kind of secretly thinking, wait a minute, this is kind of fun. And we'll see how much that continues. Right now, they've got it locked in.
They're showing it for this defense. So I'm already excited.
And yeah, I mean, it's
very fun.
Running up with it. This is like one of the best maps for Ashe right now, which isn't saying a lot, but it's one of her stronger maps when, you know, McCree and Widowmaker are removed from the pool. And she's got long sight lines, especially you know, as you approach big Earls. And the Gladiators are going to struggle to, you know, get like a Doomfist into position to break that. They look like they've got something different planned, though. They have the almost pirate ship as composition they're setting up with right now. I think they're going to swap once they see that it's not Doomfist Reaper. And yeah.
Yeah, will just be the Tracer Sombra coming through.
I think they just wanted to pick Doomfist coming through if that was going to happen. Maybe punish a Reaper right out of the spawn. When they see it's not that, they're like, all right, well, you're doing this Ashe thing again. I see we're going to dive you.
Well, situated up here at the top of the train car. We'll jump up on top. Really big dynamite going to be going through, and you can see the ult charge surging forward for KSP. Now up to 55% towards that Bob. Is under a bit of fire. Gets the body shot tag there on a Big Goose as the Bionate does come through. KSP finishes off Shaz. Follow-up dynamite, but the rest of the team is doing pretty damn good for the side of the Gladiators.
Yeah.
So get some cleanup kills here onto the Valiant, who will be displaced.
We all know.
And,
we all know KSP is a really good dynamiter, but I mean, he's built 81% of ult charge from this. He did a ton of slow tick damage, but that's all you really get. You can't really follow it up with kills necessarily with the comp they're running. The position that the Gladiators had, he was forced back, obviously, as soon as he tossed that in because the dive comes through. And now they're facing an EMP with no reliable counters. Minefield's going to come out soon, and the cart just keeps rolling for free here. KSP needs to get Bob. He needs to get a pick.
Yep, decent roll through there from OG. Will knock them off that walkway. Rolls back around. He's taking so much damage, though. Just kind of has to exit. In the meantime, KSP will manage to find Mirror, and McGravy does hound down that wild hamster. gets rid of him. KSP continuing to take some shots here on the high ground. Nearly got the D-Mech onto space, but he retreats, gets that Mega Pack inside Big Earls. Does quickly end up
Bob's ready.
himself. Bob is ready, and he has been invested on the point. Looking for some targets as the bomb goes up over the top, but doesn't find anything. The Gravy trying to re-mech will be denied. Mira manages to find the kill. Bob does get rid of Big Goose. Lastro gets rid of Space. Fairly even fight so far, but they're looking to turn that on its head as the EMP does come down. Manages to catch out on 3 members of the Valiant, but no kills come on the backside of that. Dreamer hacks for the moment, taking some damage as they continue to push forward, but he finally gets that barrier back down. Shax's turret gets rid of Birdring, OG gets rid of Shax, and Lastro gets rid of OG. Constantly back and forth fighting. This is so chaotic right now as Valiant continue to not back down with this Ashe. KSP comes up with yet another kill, a headshot on the Big Goose. Now Shaz is going to be gone. No supports here. Gladiators, they have to reset. They get 3.5 meters away from point A, but now there's only 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
The Bob, the mitigation for Bob, the defense against Bob was Big Goose trying to bop him into a way where he didn't have line of sight. They still committed in. Big Goose died actually trying to displace the Bob, and then things started to fall apart for the Gladiators. They still almost turned it around. But they're going to change composition completely here and start running the May. They're going to have a lot of the ability to slow push forward here with May's Ice Wall and get around here and try to punish McGravy, who's been doing a great job at harass.
Well, bomb going straight out over the top. Rain barely manages to die, but he just can't quite get away in time. Birdring follows up, gets rid of the Pocketer and the Pocketee, and follows up onto Dreamer, and now looks for more. Yeah, Birdring just cleaning up house, so they drain that clock down pretty considerably, but they cannot deny point A from being taken by the Gladiators, who will push forward, look for any extra stagger kills they can get on the backside of this, but everybody from Valiant is way far out of
the thing is,
the,
even if you
combat zone.
Even if you have you think that Ashe is is a strong pick here because you can outrange the Reaper, you're very unlikely to get headshot by a May. You still can't get out of this choke with her necessarily. She's about to have that Bob, and they do actually escape from the choke here. Good plays from McGravy to get them out of there. They have Molten Core. See if they can find value here. They've got a massive ult advantage. They can't win this fight. I don't know if they're winning any of them.
Well, Bob goes in to lead the charge. Toss him straight down the street. Birdring, however, gets on top of Lastro. Manages to find that elimination. Headshot comes through. As Shax, he's actually staying alive. They keep him topped up. He was a sliver of HP. KSP gets another shot of Big Goose. And suddenly, Valiant might just be able to win this fight again. Stuck in behind the barriers are multiple members of the Gladiators trying to stay safe. But Dreamer gets right up into their faces. Costs him his life, but they still get the kill on OG, and now Valiant has control of the cart.
They have control of the cart, and they have this high ground here where they can control all entry points with the Ashe. This is going to be probably the strongest Ashe position that KSP has, or perhaps will have. Maybe when we get late on C, that might change, but that was the easiest fight they could have taken because they had the ult advantage, and now Valiant is going to have to really play around this Ashe in order to get that Bob up and contest the cart. They have to play around this Blizzard too. As you can see, McGravy is hovering around Mirror right now, hoping to absorb that.
Oh, another Bob coming through, but he gets halted back. Now just going to be sat up straight in front of the garage, but with the Blizzard cross in, will be frozen for the moment. McGravy going to be able to find Birdring with the bomb, but still very much looking like a positive move forward for the Gladiators. Big Goose just going to be dropping the beat, moves up, tries to get rid of that supercharger, and does so successfully as Rain brings Lastro back into the fight with a res. Is trying to avoid all of the constant fire coming through as well as the freeze from this May. Successfully do so far, but Lastro will get caught up in the mix of things and eliminated by OG. McGravy popped out of the mech now, finished off by Birdring. But again, look at the time buy coming through for the Valiant. It's scrappy.
Really nicely
they
done.
lose the fight in the end, but again, they take the clock down so very low.
And actually, nano boosting Rain there kept him alive for a really long time, so he was able to put a lot of extra healing and damage output into that fight. Almost got Valkyrie, which would have perhaps even turned things around. They obviously can't contest here, so Cart's just going to roll through. But this is, you know, I talked about if we get to C, that's another place where Ashe will have the ability to have long sight lines against heroes trying to poke around. The problem is, you know, the Orisa barrier is going to allow them to kind of stagger their way and step forward. See how long they stick with this Ashe pick. I think they're going to stick with it the whole way.
Eat on the damage orb there. Space opening up with the self-destruct, and will be able to find KSP. Rain Still flying around with a Valkyrie. We'll not see a res. There we go. The res will come through on the back side as Dreamer gets the better of OG. Birdring starting to push forward, wants to get into position for that Death Blossom, but Space is lost out on his neck, and McGravy is there to finish him off. Blizzard tossed in on the point, gets the freeze onto Dreamer. They try to keep him topped up, but to no avail. Bob comes in to show some support. The pocket healing trying to keep Bob sustained so he can break down that barrier. Will be able to do so to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but either way, they buy more time.
Yeah, the Bob knock up there actually getting some work done too. I think Gladiators might want to consider swapping Space onto Sigma, you know, give OG and the rest of the team a little bit more pushing power here against the Ashe. But he just really wants to get high ground control, and obviously D.Va's his most famous hero. He's going to look for that high ground as mentioned here.
You can see how much they're investing just to try to pick KSP off. Space going forward, Birdring TPing up. They cannot finish him off. That's going to be Nano Boost tossed in onto Shaxx as he pushes forward, looking for some of those right-click kills. Can't quite get through the barrier nor the D-Matrix, so we'll have to peel back, drops another turret. There's a headshot there onto Space's mech. Weakening that one as best as he possibly can as Birdring goes into the back. Solo invests the ult onto KSP, will be able to burn him down, and also gets McGravy as the D-Matrix wears off. So huge value coming through from that. But it will be an OT finish for the side of the Gladiators. They're trying to roll out with a Wrecking Ball to get there, but they're unable to do so. They cannot stop the cart, but man, did they stop the clock.
May have been a blessing in disguise that Lastro's sleep dart hit when Birdring was going for the teleport into the back line to look for the ultimate there, because he had it there to help finish them off in the end.
Yeah, solid stuff there. Reminder, guys, this Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific, you can see some of the best in the world compete with our newest hero, Echo, in the Open Division tournament. So make sure you guys tune into that. They are competing for thousands of dollars in prize money. There will be a semifinal and a final streamed right here on YouTube. If you want some more information, head over to playoverwatch.com and check it out. So we might not have Echo yet in the Overwatch League, but we do have it in the Open Division, and I'm excited to see what people are going to be able to do with her, because she seems pretty interesting.
Yeah,
to put it lightly. There's a lot going on with that hero.
I think a lot of how viable she's going to be is going to be based on hero pools, because she does really well with copying certain heroes, obviously, for really interesting ult combos. But obviously with certain compositions, she's a lot more difficult to make work. Kind of niche, almost like Pharah, it feels like, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't want to make any sort of broad sweeping judgments because we haven't seen professional play yet, but that Echo tournament's going to give us a better idea. Well, in terms of compositions here, it looks like Mirror's going to stick with the Mei. I don't know how much success KSP is going to have with the Ashe on attack, but he's going to stick with it. Surprised to not see any sort of Sombra start here for the Gladiators, but they may swap after seeing how this goes. I mean, obviously they were running the Mei before. They did finish the map, but Sombra's been the go-to overall.
Still, sticking through with the Ashe. Gonna get some shots in behind these double barriers. The turret finally gonna be taken down. The Goose was getting chunked out decently by that one. As Birdring goes back over, we'll kill off Shaxx, who is working his way, weaseling his way into the back lines. But it doesn't lead to too much for him on the tour.
I did mention earlier, I thought a swap for Space onto the Sigma would have been smart on C. And this is part of the map where you kind of get high ground control by default as the defending team on these containers. You don't really need the D.Va as much. He is going to start with that. So that makes it a little bit more difficult for KSP to get value with this Ashe pick, because he's got to shoot through the containers and double shields on low ground and high ground. And the repositioning shield, the experimental barrier here from Space, is so annoying to deal with.
And not only that, but there's just like not really a position you can play in, aside from Shaxx being in the sky right now, where you're going to be safe from those spheres coming out from the Sigma. He can constantly bounce it around whatever you're trying to hide behind, as well as into the spawn. So Valiant are just going to keep getting pounded every single time they try to exit and get moved up onto these train cars. Coalescence was out there from Shas, trying to burn some members down. You see Shaxx here with an Nano Boost trying to get some work done. 60% towards that barrage. Continues hitting them from above, but now the sound barrier comes in from Big Goose. Gravitic fluxes out from space. Looks for a pick and will be able to find KSP in the end. As he gets closer to that Bob. And yeah, very rough. Down to 2 minutes and 15 seconds now. Wall coming up, denying them access back into the spawn room. Mirror will be forced to ice block, but Rain gets picked off by the damage orb from Shaz.
He has Blizzard here Yeah, and he's got Blizzard here to drop. You know, he could drop it from the container into the back line. He could just throw it at the spawn. There's the stagger I think you're about to mention onto McGravy, which hurts even more. And 4 ults online here, but they're not really ults that you're that worried about if you're the Gladiators. You can shut down the Pharah ult with Experimental Barrier. You can deal with Bob pretty well because Bob's going to struggle to get an angle here with all these structures in the way. With a Flux, though.
Through. McGravy denies the Blizzard from Mirror, completely eats that one up. Now the drop down coming through. Barrage going to be dropped in, but Shax runs out of targets. Does get finished off by Space, but it's okay because the rest of the Valiant are doing some solid work, including Bob, who finishes off Big Goose. The melee hits will come through. KSP with a headshot on the back end will allow for the Valiant to finally start moving this cart forward, but it's just now moving. They got literally no distance added to this cart until now, and they have 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining before they even get in front of Big Girls.
Rough time bank. I yelled the Flux, so I got excited, but I meant to say Supercharger. As Dreamer's Supercharger helped push through all those barriers there, and they were able to force that through with the extra damage output of 2 DPS ultimates. Now Shax has a nice angle here, and the nano boost.
Yeah, he does, but can he get a better angle now? Has to drop lower and lower, which puts him at more risk. Could nearly had taken down OG on that approach. Instead, we'll be able to find the Supercharger. Almost gets that direct hit on the mirror. Very cheeky recall, keeps him safe, but that was almost one of the nuttiest shots that I've ever seen. Birdring in the meantime off screen is going to be using that Death Blossom, comes up with the kill onto KSP. Shax does get mirror and Big Goose will fall, but it's a fairly neutral fight, and when you're the attacking team in this situation, losing out or trading equally in members, at least for, you know, up until that point, it's not going to be good for you.
No,
now there's 15
not.
seconds remaining. They get cleaned up on the back end. Rain is still waiting to respawn. They have to tag, and they have to get across to point A.
Yeah, here
and
comes
then go to the rest of the map.
Yeah, here comes Dreamer and McGravy to try to get that touch.
They get pushed back. They will be able to make their way through, but that's the main tanks over towards the cart, so nobody else is protecting the rest of the squad. KSP gets finished off. Maybe a bit of an overstep from Space as he does get domed by Shax, but now Lastro going to be gone as well. Barrage gets dropped in. They manage to find Big Goose. They're looking for Shaz. He'll pop the Coalescence defensively to keep himself alive. It's a little bit of damage here onto the Pharah, but for now the cart continues to roll forward, getting closer and closer to that point A, and that 2.5 minute time bank bump up that Valiant so desperately need to try to finish this map and keep in contention. But as you can see, the kills continue to come through in favor of the LA Gladiators, with Mir still holding on to that impulse bomb. Dumps that one out, doesn't come up with any kills for himself. And these maybe can start turning this one around. 3 members going to be gone now. 4 as Space got demeched and taken out. It's Shaz and Birdring alone inside of Big Girls, trying to turn this fight around on its head. Shaz pushes forward, but the Dynamite instantly greets him as soon as he gets out of the fade. They do manage to finish him off. Birdring with nowhere to go. He's trying to stay alive via that lifesteal, but it's just not good enough. Gets finished off, and Valiant will get a second lease on life. They will get 2.5 minutes additionally.
Yeah, Rain dying early in that fight made it tougher for Shax to stay on the point, or stay near the point and get that damage, that value with the Pharah. Things looked like they were going to fall apart, but they stuck with it with McGravy and Lastro, picking up some big numbers. Birdring delays there, which looks, you know, looks silly from an outside perspective because obviously he can't stop them, but he gets now his Death Blossom. And look where he's standing, he's looking for the flank. He's 4% away from that, and that's going to be what they're looking to close this map out potentially, get that ult economy back.
There he has it in the meantime, diving into the back line. They will manage to find Lastro, but Mirror will get picked off. Shax just straight into the back of the enemy. Orisa will be able to get several right clicks off and build up to 71% of that molten core. It's taken down in the end, but Space finally doing a bit of work here on this defense, trying to get that cart halted yet again. Cleans up multiple kills with the melee hits as Bob will come through. He'll just displace off the high ground and try and reset, but Mirror completely surrounded and finished off. And Big Goose sniped out by Lastro. Means that this card is likely just going to keep moving for the Valiant.
Yeah, they're just going to continue to delay to look for that fight with Sound Barrier and the Death Blossom. That's the game plan here for the LA Gladiators, but they need to buy a little bit more time. Actually, Mirror going to swap over to the May here, and that's going to give them a lot of sticking power to this cart when they go for that final B contest.
60 seconds.
I think it would be crazy if they don't contest this. Looks like they're considering letting it roll through. A little bit of a poke out here from Space. They're going to come out from 2 angles, low ground and high ground, to touch the point.
Molten core ready to go. Gladiators work their way out to contest the point. Birdring instantly eliminated as he tries to use that Death Blossom. Bomb into the back, only going to be getting rid of the inanimate objects here. As the dynamite continues to burn away on the multiple members of the LA Gladiators. Bob getting ready to rejoin us yet again. High ground set for KSP. The cart's rolling in to point B. 2 minutes now for the Valiant to try to finish this map.
Disjointed ultimate usage there between Big Goose and Birdring. You know, Birdring just went in immediately, saw an opportunity, but didn't have the sound barrier for protection. And they had that combo. Had they been a little bit more patient or had they waited just a little bit longer, I think that could have been a really great way to stall this point out. Big Goose actually commits to sound barrier after Birdring is dead, though, so he doesn't have that either. And Valiant may just steal this one away. They may finish the map.
Well, a really good wrap around the backside. Multiple freezes coming through as Shaz will just go ahead and likely pick up the play of the game on the back of that. Coalescence kills 3. So a minute and 15 remaining. This is certainly defendable for the side of the Gladiators, but it's also pushable for the Valiant. KSP finally going to be swapping off of the Ashe, will be going over onto the Reaper.
The Blizzard now becomes a really important ultimate that wasn't that impactful before because of the trades that we were seeing and May's inability to get into position, but now it's huge.
Boulders coming through, KSP falling lower and lower. Thought maybe Shax is going to be getting a hammer kill there for a second, but it's only onto the supercharger, so it doesn't count.
He doesn't use drumsticks, he plays the bongos with the hammer. Ooh, that wall.
That was really nice. Kind of hold them out of the spawn as well.
That's really nice time by here for the LA Gladiators. They get Mirror of the Blizzard. Now they can actually play around the entrance to C with that Blizzard online.
Oh, Mirror getting jumped on.
He cannot get picked here. That's so important to keep him alive.
Forcing the ice block. He's going to go ahead, lob in. That Blizzard does not get eaten by the kinetic grasp there from McGravy, who will be frozen and will be finished off. 15 seconds remaining. And the Molten Core used by Shax leads to nothing. This is not looking great for the Valiant. They need to get somebody on the card. They need to stay together as a team, but they continue to get picked off one after the other. Making their way over. Flux comes in, OT going to be forced out. Doesn't catch anybody over towards the point. Birdring drops in with that Death Blossom. Only finds a supercharger so far. Answer Gravitic Flux now out from space. Slams down Dreamer, finds the kill. Shax will be eliminated as well. Space trying to stay alive, will get pressured down by the Coalescence. Supercharger dropped in from OG, but the Valiant are the ones persevering in the fight so far. KSP gets rid of Birdring, and they actually manage to push forward. They get the team wipe. They still have a long ways to go. They cannot leave this cart.
The Gladiators,
Valley just does not back down. They do not die.
And the Gladiators don't have great ults here. They're slowly coming online here. You know, the DPS ultimate, Shaz has Coalescence soon, but that's not necessarily going to be enough to stop this train, and Flux is coming up faster from McGravy. We might just have that 1 minute apiece extra round here if Valiant can keep up the momentum.
Coalescence here needs to be big. Coalescence now online for Shaz. The rest of the ultimates considerably further away. Molten Core about to be there for Shax. And the Flux is not too far off from McGravy either. Birdring, however, manages to find one. McGravy going to be taken down. Can they turn this around yet again? KSP starts. He finds OG. Needs to get a lot more than that, however. Is under fire, and they manage to find the kills onto the enemy Reaper. Now the Moira, the delay tactics available to the Valiant are getting bled one after the other. They will get pushed off the cart. The hold will come through, and Gladiators do manage to move up 2-0 in the battle for LA. But man, the Valiant is just making this so much closer than you would ever anticipate it.
Especially with Ashe too, and it's forcing the Gladiators to swap up their hero composition pretty massively. We saw the Pharah come through as well. Creativity and not just running mirror compositions against a team that I guess the coaching staff of the Valiant has decided is going to beat them in that mirror matchup. By the way, nobody plays bongos with drumsticks on. It's like, try not to laugh.
True.
It's not playing bongos with drumsticks. That's why they're bongos. But I just had to put that disclaimer out there. I know what bongos are, and I didn't want anyone to think otherwise.
You played Donkey Konga.
I have played. I have played that. But yeah, I mean, look, Valiant making it closer. Just have to wonder what it would look like if they played more meta. But we might not know. They might just play this Ashe all the way through.
Yeah, this is entirely, Chengdu vibes from last season coming through, just kind of dragging the other team to their level and saying, okay, you know what, you're either going to play ridiculous stuff with us, or you're going to just have to play against this, and we're good at this, so what's it going to be? So they are making this series very close despite the scoreline that we see. It's a 2-0 lead here as we go into the halftime break in favor of the Gladiators. Valiant now need to try and pull off a reverse sweep. We'll see if they can get it done when we come back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to our game break presented by Pringles Wavy. My name is Zoe and joining me are Costa as well as Reinforce. Guys, the Gladiators are currently up 2-0. However, the Valiant are determined to make this as close as possible whilst also making it as unconventional as possible. And I, for one, respect that. You have to respect the hustle. The question is just, is this going to work out for them? So let's discuss map 1 and 2. We first thought on Control when we saw KSP on that Ash that surely they're going to change off of that after one round. Well, they kind of did, but then they brought her back in the, in the third round. So, Costa, are you at all surprised seeing this creativity coming out of
Yeah, like, it kind of made a little bit of sense when you go to that first Busan round. And you have those high grounds that you can use. I was like, oh, this is a cool little niche strat. Didn't work at all. And then they just sort of kept trying to force it in other rounds. And it just didn't really get the value that you really want from it. The Gladiators actually reacted very well to it off the bat. They're recognizing that the win condition is to just rush the Ashe, find a way to get on top of her, because that seems to be the trend of what's going on. If Valiant have the ability to create space for the Ashe, let her consistently shoot, just get value, KSP is incredible with his aim, he's going to do a lot of work. But if Gladiators end up pushing fast enough and getting on top of the Valiant, it's actually really hard for them. And that's why you see the Gladiators playing incredibly aggressive all the time, pretty much in their spawn, recognizing that if you give this Ashe an inch, she's going to take over the game.
I do think it has legs, though. I mean, it's a pretty viable strat, and they're playing it pretty well, to be honest. I wonder if they're playing it because they just think they can't take the Gladiators head-on with the May Reaper composition. But or if this is just like some kind of cheese that they're just putting out for this match, that they've just planned this one-off. Maybe it's something that other teams are running. We've seen last week that Toronto Defiant, they were running their own Ashe, and there were different circumstances because it was on Numbani, it was a first point hold, etc. But I do think that maybe it has some kind of legs. Maybe people are overlooking Ashe a little bit, and now she's starting to be brought back into the meta, and we're going to see the reasons why that is when I break that down a little bit later. So.
You know what? Later.
Later is
later
now.
is now.
Okay.
Later is now. Today is the future, and all those things. But I really want to discuss that Ashe, and I want to see why that can be a viable strat. So Reinforce, can you break down for us how the Gladiators dealt with it, and also how the Valiant tried to actually make it work for them?
So okay, it's crunch time, and I don't have a telestrator at home. So we're going to the home studio setup, okay? This is what we got to work with.
Nice.
So we're going to the old trustworthy YouTube VOD with display capture on my OBS. So this is great stuff. So what we're going to see here out of the gates on my screen is that Valiant are trying to recontest point B on Route 66. Now the Gladiators, they're letting them have all of this space, which I don't really totally agree with, because in this scenario, you have the Valiant, they're playing the Ashe, they're playing the Torb. If they just play together, it's really easy for the Gladiators to shut that down with their May and Reaper. So what the Valiant are going to be allowed to do, because the Gladiators are not putting on any pressure, is spread out all over this sort of bridge on the side here. And that's going to be a lot harder to deal with once the Valiant are split up. So we're going to let this play out. We're going to see how this fight ends up being won by the Valiant, because they're allowed all of this space. So the Gladiators hanging back, they've just captured point B. And as we see now, the Valiant have finally started to split up a little bit. So we can see from space perspective, a lot of stuff going on, but you have some Valiant members over here, you have a turret over here, and then also you have Lastro over here. So there's a lot of people split up, and we're going to continue to see how it plays out. The Gladiators still playing passive, they're playing passive. Ashe and Torb allowed so much space. Now the Gladiators, they realize they finally have to do something. So they get a pick onto Lastro here. But keep in mind, that's just one target. That's just one target you have to deal with. Meanwhile, you also had the Torb playing here with your Orisa. You also have an Ashe over here. And now you have the Mercy and the D.Va over here. So there's so much stuff going on because they allowed the Valiant to spread out. So the Gladiators, with their composition, with their May Reaper, they aren't really able to keep track of all of this happening all at once. So what they're trying to do, which I'm getting told in my ear that I only have 20 seconds to wrap this up, and I don't have time for that at all. So please give me some more time. I'm going to speed it through, I promise, production. So we're going to the next fight. Fast forward on the home PC setup. So how do the Gladiators adapt? Well, instead, they're going to go through this house. And what happens when they go through this house in the next fight? That's going to force the Valiant. They cannot spread out here. Instead, they have to play like a group, because the Gladiators, by going through this house, they're shutting down all of this space that the Valiant can't operate on as a team. So the Gladiators, they walk through the house, and instead, as you see, there is no Lastro on the bridge. Instead, you're seeing the Torb grouped up, you're seeing the Ashe here, the D.Va. Like, everyone on the Valiant are stacked up as a group. So in essence, the Gladiators this game, the way they should operate around this Ashe is simply by playing sheep herder. Like, they're just trying to group up the Valiant so they can attack the Ashe, the Torb, and the Ana all at once, while the Valiant are looking to just spread out. They want to create as many angles as possible, as many pressure points as possible for the Gladiators. So that's sort of what we're seeing in this match. The Gladiators trying to group up the Valiant, and the Valiant trying to split up with their Ashe and Torb. Did you get any of it?
All right.
Do you understand anything of what I'm saying? Or it's all madness?
I understood you very well, and I think you sped through this phenomenally.
Great.
Is that
Well,
a word? I'm
you
not
love to
sure.
see it.
Either way, we have to go and send it back to the match now because they are ready. So without any further ado, here's the second half of the Valiant and the Gladiators. Don't worry about it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury. With HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, guys. So what could be our final map of this evening? LA Gladiators currently leading over the Valiant right now, 2-0 in the battle for LA. Valiant now need to pull off a reverse sweep if they want to maintain that lead in the historic record between these two organizations. Otherwise, looking like it's going to be tied up 4-4, Wolf.
4-4, where we're headed, and Gladiators continuing their streak. They have that 2-0 from 2019 and trying to push the starting 2020 off with a winning record as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to get that sentence out, but I don't know, man. The Ash, it's cool, it's creative, it's fun, but it's not finding enough consistent success here. And I get it, you don't want to run mirror against the Gladiators, you think, or run a mirror composition because Gladiators have a mirror, so there you go. You don't want to have the same composition as the Gladiators and run that head-to-head because you think that they're going to run it better than you. And I get that, I appreciate that. But unfortunately, the Ash just isn't coming up big enough.
Yeah, I mean, as it normally goes, and I'm not trying to make a joke out of it, it's very hit or miss right now for the Ash, but it's definitely having some pretty good success from time to time, but then in the end, it's just not really getting them across the line. Bob's getting a couple kills, but it's not, you know, it's not the pop-off performance that you need to have that Ash truly excel and net them victories, so that's why they find themselves down 0-2 at the moment. Taking a look at our map set, though, again, could be our final map of the night. It's going to be Hollywood yet again for Hybrid for these two squads, and it's another map where Ash really could be played. We often see Widowmaker, especially when you go beyond point A in that street space. We'll see if KSP is going to be sticking through with it, or if he's going to be playing something a bit more in the norm.
Yeah, that's, you know, what this map may be decided by, and obviously how well it's played. I really like that we're probably going to get to see more space on D.Va at certain points of this map as well, if we go past A, because, you know, the high ground control is really important, and space as D.Va is going to get you that. Birdring teasing the Sombra right now, and I wonder, you know, how Valiant's going to go about this, because this is one of the maps we saw actually Yang Xiaolong, YXL as he's often called, play a lot of Ash in the past. Certainly a map where you can get value out of her on the high ground. Bob can help control choke points. Dynamite's very good in those chokes as well, the A choke point. Entering A as the defenders, and then the second choke point there that goes into the streets phase after A is also a great point for Dynamite. Dynamite is great at getting you, if you're running a more aggressive composition, getting you a pick because of the tick damage, but it's more powerful at building Bob charge. Yeah. But right now, I mean, Bob just doesn't do a whole lot for you in terms of how much damage output he has, how much disruption he can put in, because people have just dealt with Bob so much in ranked, they know how to deal with him, and just not a very potent ultimate compared to the other 5 you're going to have on your squad.
Well, obviously, will be the Ash here for KSP, still sticking through with it. Going to be looking for that damage boost here with the Dynamite getting chucked at the door. Won't be sticking around to try and go for a shot. See, they'll just wait. Teleporter forward. Provided by Birdring. They'll get a scout on the rest of the squad. And it will just be that May Reaper again for the Gladiators on this approach.
Yep, space on D.Va again. He's going to have the ability to help control that high ground. The May, very powerful at this approach if you want to use the wall there. Take out the turret first.
Yeah, try to hold them off that high ground, but the Gravy with the G-Matrix is able to eat that before they get pulled back. Ult into the cafe, brings them towards the front. As Mirror and Big Goose, as well as Birdring, all get right up on that top level. And instantly kills start coming through. KSP and Dreamer already going to be eliminated, while Mirror just sits pretty here at the top of the stairs. So it keeps getting those freezes coming through. 80% build up on the first push, where his Blizzard is just disgusting.
Yeah, insane slows there on the stairway. I mean, there's just no way out as Shaxx in that moment. And once the high ground, that central high ground that controls the choke, is taken away, this composition just doesn't have any legs to stand on. You're trying to rotate. Torbjorn doesn't have the mobility to get away. He kind of gets slowed and caught there at the end of the day by Mirror. And they're just going to have to retreat back to a secondary high ground here outside of the choke. This is that secondary choke I was talking about where Dynamite can get value, but got to step back here, though.
A little early on the shotgun blast to try to keep himself pushed away from the enemy squad. Blizzard will be invested by Mirror up onto the high ground, which gets him a kill on a KSP, so not necessarily the massive freeze that he was looking for. And the Gladiators will lose out on Space's mech at the end of that fight, but do get the freeze here onto Jax, but they can't finish him off. He actually just goes ahead and gets a double kill despite being frozen solid. They didn't have the damage output to actually take him down, and now suddenly Valiant start turning things around as Shax continues to get melee hits. That's not what we want to see, though. We want to see hammer hits. There you go.
There you go.
Pulls out the hammer a little bit too late.
You don't want to pocket the Ashe here. You want to pocket the Torbjorn.
Yeah,
last round,
clearly.
Rain are doing a great job of healing him up and helping him stay alive. He's actually tanking a lot of this damage output and is kind of burning some cooldowns up on the front line. Does have his Molten Core. Not going to be able to use it for the choke because they don't want to fight up at the front where they're more vulnerable to the D.Va jump in. They want to actually jump down on top of the Gladiators. But eventually, you know, not immediately, but eventually as they kind of wrap around this point.
Oh, well, as soon as he pokes his head out, KSP instantly getting greeted by that icicle. TP up over the top, the bomb invested as well. Space looks for a pick, doesn't find one. Birdring going to be dropped off that top of the saloon as he uses the Death Blossom, and Rain is left all on his lonesome in the corner. Will get taken down, but the Gravy manages to find 1.5 as he gets rid of Mirror and Space's mech with that self-destruct. Gladiators continuing to inch the card forward as Dreamer's just sitting on that high ground, just sitting on the roof. But no one really has to worry about him too much. He's not contesting the cart. He doesn't do that much damage, so they just leave him till the end. Finally clean him up, and the cart will continue to roll.
Yeah.
3 minutes, 13 seconds remaining.
Valiant need to regroup. I mean, the Bob wasn't bad. That's going to be a nice pick there as Birdring tries to teleport in. But the Bob wasn't bad, but it just isn't good enough when you've got the barrier there to block that damage. They're going to go for a contest here. Very bold.
Yeah, halted backward. Dreamer doesn't really get into a position to hit anybody with a pile driver, and then with a freeze combined there, will just be taken down. Shax with the turret, and getting right up on top of OG is able to get rid of the enemy Orisa. Blizzard going to be tossed in, however, and Shax will finally fall. The Gravy frozen and taken out of his mech, so a little bit of a time buy here. As Dreamer will rejoin, gets a bit of shielding. Big pile driver hit, but needs to clear them off the point. Gets one, and Shaz will fall, and the cart will just go ahead and glide into point B. So just shy of 4 minutes now on the clock for the Gladiators, the home stretch of Hollywood.
Outside of using the Valkyries, we do see an exit kill here for Space. Nicely done. Well, hold that thought. I mean, it looks like he's going to get more range caught again. Outside of using the Valkyrie, though, I did like Valiant committing to the attempted hold there. You know, baited out the Blizzard ultimate at least, but things are starting to fall apart here on this last part of C as the chase is real, and they're trying to set up again a place for Ashe to get high ground control, get some sight lines, but every time they try to step out, you see the almost dive-esque attacks coming through from Gladiators. Birdring back on the Reaper.
Yep, well, core now coming out from Shax. Space getting antied, does lose out on that mech. The self-destruct only going to be finding the turret, but Shax was taken down by the Coalescence. Answering self-destruct up over the top from McGravy, looks for a pick. Doesn't manage to find anything. Bomb from KSF, and the Dynamite do get rid of 3 as Big Goose will fall. Space finally finishes off Bomb, but a lot of damage being dealt there. And with a faster run back, Valiant should be able to hold on to this one.
They certainly will. That might be Bob kills going through the roof in terms of our statistics right there. But, you know, when left to his own devices against squishy heroes that don't have anywhere to escape from, especially Lucio's, escape from the Bob damage, you know, you're going to get some work done, especially on a point like C here of Hollywood. Big Goose, though, has the sound barrier. Holds that here. He can use that to help get Mirror into position for a Blizzard, or if he just gets into position by default, then he can use it in the longer fight. So great advantages here in terms of ultimates. Rain does not have his own sound barrier, and that's going to be critical here. He won't have a great way to shut down this Blizzard damage when it does connect. It's going to have to be up to Lastro's Nano. Good start.
Through. Yeah, sound barrier just a little bit too late there from Big Goose to try to keep OG in the fight, but they're still putting up good numbers. Birdring barely able to escape with that Wraith form. Let's make his way back to safety with the rest of the squad as the Gladiators continue to push forward. Sound barrier shielding for the Valiant now going to be expiring. Gravy playing up on the top there does get demeched. Big Goose will be taken down, but the Blossom manages to find one. McGravy going to be eliminated. Mirror manages to get rid of the Torbjorn. Now Lastro falling as well. Rain has been swapped over onto the Lucio. We'll see just how elusive he can be. Seems like as he jumps forward, he's just going to get chunked out lower and lower. Finally finished off by Space with the Rockets. Now it's on McGravy to try to stay positioned here on the point. Barrier going to be tossed in. They try to juke out. McGravy manages to find two. Mirror and Shaz both going to fall. He's got to clear one final member off of that cart to roll it in, but they just keep spilling forward. Do the members of the Valiant pushing out of the spawn, keeping that cart contested. 0.59 meters left to go as Space gets demeched there on the back end. OG is dropped in the supercharger. Birdring, however, under fire, gets eliminated by KSP. We're taking out McGravy, sitting on top of the cart, trying to stay sustained. Lastro holding down that right click, manages to get the knockout on his Space's mech before the sound barrier can come in. Again, it's a tank dying just moments before Big Goose can actually get that sound barrier off. Pulse bomb goes out from KSP. Big Goose gets caught up in the blast. The turret up from Shax gets rid of the baby D.Va. And suddenly, this is looking very winnable for the LA Valiant. They continue to win this fight. They hold them off. 0.52 meters left to go for the Gladiators. Now it's one fight left at 23 seconds remaining.
Gladiators should have regrouped a long time ago. They kept crashing into this point at 3v6 fights. As soon as Shax dropped the Molten Core, it was time to leave. They just kind of crashed to this point repeatedly and losing fights, wasted ultimates. All they really gained was the Blizzard. They'll have Attack Visor, but that's not going to be very useful here. Shax is going to have another Molten Core. Finishing this map looks very difficult right now for the Gladiators. The Blizzard needs to be big.
Yeah, Mirror goes ahead, drops that one, barely makes it into the ice block safely. Sound barrier now going to be out for the Valiant, so Birdring in the back lines with this Attack Visor isn't really doing much, just tickling the members of the Valiant, and they just brush that one off pretty easily, get a team wipe, and they will successfully hold at point C.
Yeah, and I do, have to, again, criticize the attempted run-throughs there. They thought they had this map, or rather the finish in the bag, right? They come through, Blizzard goes down. It looks like it's a one-fight, it's a done deal. They're winning the fight, but Gladiators don't have the massive numbers advantage they need to really roll this through. So Valiant get their Molten Core off. They survive through the Blizzard, and then Birdring swaps over to Soldier, and they're just trying to rush onto the point and win an overtime fight that isn't overtime. You know, we're talking about 70 seconds left at that moment in time, and, you know, when you have that much of a time bank like this, a minute and 13 seconds left we're looking at, and McGravy gets a bomb here. It's really good focus fire on the barrier. That was more the rest of his teammates than him. I mean, the bomb placement was good. When the bomb goes off there, it's like, all right, that's it. We got to back up. Molten Core goes down. They could have regrouped a lot earlier. The shift gears, though, on this attack for the Valiant, just like we saw in Route 66, this is going to be where Ash really has problems on the A push here. Unless you can get a nice halt, or you can force them off the high ground and get KSP up onto the high ground right there you see to the left of your screen, Ash is going to be shooting through barriers through a choke into a point that's wrapped around a corner. It's going to be very tough. It's going to have to be slow dynamite poke and trying to steal that high ground away.
Yeah, well, we'll see if there's going to be any swaps here. Looks like Shax will be pulling back in. He's actually going to go for the Pharah. Which means, can we anticipate perhaps a rain swap? Yes, it will be the Mercy coming through from them. So again, trying out different stuff. So the Pharah will return. There's not really any true hit scan here to reliably take the Pharmacy duo out of the sky. So we'll see just how much success they can have. Shax has been extremely dominant for the Valiant so far in this series. So perhaps he can have a similar performance now on the Pharah here on Hollywood. Rockets coming down, already getting a lot of damage in onto Space, who gets forced to use that kinetic grasp. Gladiators will just pile into the hallway, but a double tap comes through, and Miro just was not ready for it. Did not respond in time for the ice block. Gets completely destroyed by the Pharah. And now you can see OG trying to dance around and keep himself safe. Does get finished off. KSP will get rid of Shaz. Birdring in the back. Does manage to find one pick on the Lastro, but KSP's got the timing down pat on that teleport. Absolutely destroys him with the dink. Big Goose gone on the back end of that one as well. And Valiant should very well have this point in hand.
Yeah, this is a little bit weird what we're seeing from the Gladiators. Look, I have to appreciate as well the Pharah Ashe. You've really put a lot of pressure on Space. He's forced to use his experimental barrier to deal with the Pharah, but then he can't block all the damage that's coming through from Ashe. They're breaking down OG's barrier at the same time. But for the Gladiators, the wraparound there, the attempt to try to contest, you know, these moves, whenever you try to do stuff like this, it almost feels like you're playing with your food or you're just not respecting your opponent. And obviously KSP is going to get the kill on the teleport. They're going to stagger you. They're going to get more ult charge. They're going to end up with a pretty great time bank here. So a bit puzzling to see that heavy commitment there. But they're now going to swap over to the Sombra Tracer, more dive-oriented, try to kill the backline, ignore the Pharah.
Scary moment there for Mirror, barely making it out with the translocator. Nearly had gotten finished off. Shax as well, sliver of HP just then. But now there's no D.Va. They do not have the mech, they do not have that D-Matrix. They will finish him off. Can he get in a position to find a really nice barrage? You can see the members of the Gladiators scattering to the wind, just staying apart from each other so they don't get absolutely destroyed by that barrage. But the same cannot be said for Shaz. Shax just pushes up right on his flank and absolutely decimates him. Body tag there on a bird ring as he tries to escape out the back. KSP is on the hunt. Just gets a glimpse of the Tracer. And he lines up the shot. Either way, the cart continues to roll forward with 3 minutes and 47 seconds remaining as they get so close to B.
Shaq's threat of the barrage is really what helped pick the Gladiators apart, allowed KSP to do more damage. He's got Bob here for the contest. There's no EMP, there's no sound barrier. This looks really good for the Valiant for this next fight.
See if they can get this one across the finish line rather quickly. OG going to be taking a nap for now. Bob dropped in. Straight over towards the point. Dynamite tossed through. Birdring eliminated. The combination of that and a rocket from Shax just absolutely destroys him. Rocket's now straight up into the face of OG as he tries to stay alive. Shaz manages to find one, gets rid of that baby D.Va. But is that going to be enough for them to find some kind of foothold here? Sound barrier shield's already going to be gone. The Bionade connects onto both of the tanks. Pile driver down, doesn't connect with anything. And Birdring gets finished off by KSP, who's still just sitting on the high ground. Dynamite will not connect. KSP still sitting up top. Looks for
he's ready.
4 pickoffs here as Rain manages to find the res back onto Dreamer. The MP comes through, catches 2. The Pharah grounded for the moment, but no one able to actually get a finishing blow on her. KSP will be finished off with the cart, manages to glide through the barrage, gets rid of OG. It's a scrappy fight, but in all of the chaos, Valiant just barely managed to slide that cart through into point B. Now they have 4 minutes on the clock, and they don't even have to finish the map. They just have to, well, they basically do, but they just have to make it right to the end, and then it's over. No chance at OT rounds for Gladiators because they just could not finish.
Gladiators really need to play a lot safer here. I mean, a lot of what we're seeing from them is overextensions, looking at fights that are very unlikely to be won, but it feels like there's some overconfidence in the rotations and the movements we're seeing. I'm going to swap over to May Reaper, try to play extremely meta here for this last final defense and try to go for the ult economy lead.
Well, really great wall up there in the Dreamer, but then Nano Boost manages to come through from Blaster. They keep him alive, and KSP responds in kind with the Dynamite. And gets the kill onto Birdring, but Space shuts him down. KSP and Shax both get taken out. Rain manages to find a res onto one, but with Lastro falling as well, it seems like it's going to be to no avail. So it does manage to get a cheeky res off, but it's not going to allow them to push forward any longer. Do have to reset here. And Rain swaps off that Mercy, goes over to the Lucio.
Space is trying to save this map right now. Double kill there, which also eliminates the turret. He's done so much with his defense matrix. He's helping control high ground, can sweep into the low ground. He's going to help deal with Bob here too.
Yeah, Bob's out, makes his way around the corner. OG already eliminated. Mirror, however, with the right clicks, does quickly take care of the Bob, and McGrady finds another E onto a Mirror. Oh, gets rid of yet another Blizzard, the second in the series, I do believe. 4 of those Blizzards taken out. Now Rain gets rid of Mirror. They start pushing their way forward. Shax overloading, tries to stay alive, even with that additional armor coming through. It's not going to be enough. OG does eliminate him. You can see the Valiant still looking very comfortable in the fight. The baby D.Va eliminated. Victor's taken out by Rain. Shaz pushing forward, inting effectively to get rid of KSP. He gets the kill, but everybody else on the side of the Gladiators is just getting destroyed. Valiant, they start gliding their way up. Wrecking Ball rolls through. 5 meters away now are the Valiant for putting a win on the board. Big Goose makes his way back over. The Molten Core comes through. Big Goose nearly taken down by the lava. Space going to be knocked out. Rain Coming up with that final blow, and the turn from Shax gets rid of OG. Shaz gets taken down. It's yet again a slaughter. Now just Mirror gets killed off. The team wipe comes through, and the Valiant manage to make it work. They push all the way to the end, and they keep their hopes alive. They put one win on the board, but they need 2 more to go if they want to maintain the lead in the battle for LA.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great plays across the board on Torb we're seeing there from Shax in that last map, or in our most recent map. And Gladiators, I feel like, definitely overextended on their C push, right? Like when we saw the bomb come through from McGravy, they break the barrier, he gets a double kill, we see the Molten Core come down, and they should have retreated, they should have regrouped long ago, but took several, 2 or 3, or, their best case, I think, fight they had 4v6 versus spawn advantage fights against the Valiant when they could have regrouped, could have used their ult advantage a lot better. Then on the defense, also overextending, trying to do certain little wraparounds like we saw on the A defense that cost them distance, that gave more ult charge to the Valiant. I feel like the Gladiators are not playing at their best. They're not playing as well as they did on the first 2 maps, and they're going to have to tighten it back up because this series is not over.
They're playing extremely scrappily at the moment, and with each map that goes by, this Ashe kind of gains legitimacy. It just looks better and better from KSB. Shax continues to be just incredible no matter what he's playing. He has just been having a phenomenal series so far, despite the, them being down a map at the moment. But they're trying to bring it back. It's 1-2 at the moment. 2 more to go for the Valiant to pull off a reverse sweep. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll see if they can get 1 step closer when we come back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. That might have been on stream. Sorry for the clap, guys.
Overwatch League Online Play is brought to you by Xfinity. Experience gamer-grade internet with Xfinity X5.
And welcome back, guys. Things are heating up now in this series. The battle for LA. Valiant nearly taken out of this one, fell down to match point against the Gladiators, but they dragged themselves back in for a victory on Hollywood, continuing to play, outside meta picks. The Ashe, the Pharah coming back through from these guys, and they're playing it oh so very well.
Yeah.
So still not out of this series yet. They definitely have a fighting chance to get themselves back in here and maintain that match victory historically versus the Gladiators.
I'm liking Shax on the Torb. I'm really liking the Pharah Ashe in particular, that combo. They're finding a lot of angles where they can force space out of his comfort zone on the Sigma. So either Space is mitigating that Pharah damage as much as he can, trying to block that with Experimental Barrier, but then getting caught by the Ashe, or vice versa, right? I mean, he's dealing with the Ashe, but then Pharah is getting into the backline. Reese's barriers obviously can't be removed or replaced, so
yeah.
Shax is looking really clean on several different heroes. We're seeing the Tracer pick also come into play a little bit here for the Valiant. And, you know, I mean, I really feel like this is a series they could take back. It was a close map of Busan to start things off. If they can win Hanamura now, they might be able to get that reverse sweep. It's absolutely possible. Break the streak of the Gladiators in the battle for LA.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many reverse sweeps as of late, so why not just tack another one onto the list here for the Valiant? We'll see if they can pull it off, but you already mentioned it. Well, we'll go ahead and take a look at the map set just to be thorough in all things broadcast friendly, and it is in fact going to be Hanamura for Assault. And yeah, I mean, it's do or die time and has been for the Valiant so far. They have stepped up to the challenge, but can they continue pushing forward? Or can the Gladiators get the ball back into their court? That is the big question for us as we move forward here into this fourth map, because still are backs against the wall for the Valiant. They just need to keep winning from here on out.
I think Ashe Pharah is very viable on A.
Possibly.
On defense, it's obviously going to be a lot easier to pull off than on attack, but I think you can run it on attack as well. And then Ashe has a lot of viability on B. And put a little asterisk on viability because, I mean, compared to other maps, and compared to how strong she normally is, etc., etc., I should be clear with what I say, but I think there's a chance we just see the Valiant run this through again. And, you know, wow, big prediction, Wolf, they've run it all series. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're going to see. I think it's not very bad to see on this map, and I'm starting to trust it a little bit more than I've seen that Valiant use it and transition away from it. I'm feeling good about their chances of finding some, you know, good Ashe play here, finding some picks. They are showing, highlighting on the attack here, the Ashe Pharah. I don't know if that'll be committed or not, but I mean, at this point, I kind of hope so. Like, I want them to finish the series out with this if they're going to win it.
Yeah, might as well. Will be the push forward. Looks like Dreamer at least going to be rolling up to scout with the Wrecking Ball. And it will be the Pharah swap coming through again for Shax.
Good
response there.
D-Matrix there from McGravy.
Yeah. Saw the Hulk coming out, knew that he wouldn't be able to intercept it. So just went over to protect KSP. So actually, okay, swap him coming through. It's going to be the Tracer Ashe this time.
And Mirror already is ready with the Torbjorn. So this isn't going to be easy to run by any means.
Freeze coming down onto Dreamer right at the gateway, and he will get finished off, as does Shax. So finding that nice kill onto the enemy Tracer as they continue to spam out. Trying to get some extra picks here.
Because she had to stay so long for the turret, the recall wouldn't have saved him either there. Talking about Shax on the Tracer. So kind of a lose-lose situation there. He got rid of the turret, but wasn't able to escape. Follow-up is there from the Gladiators. Swaps back over to the Pharah, trying to find those angles we were talking about. Trying to slip behind.
Get some shots in. Barely makes it over to that health pack in time. Get some follow-up shots in space. So very close, and will get taken out of the mech in the end. McGravy able to push around. Now Shax trying to outduel Mirror, but he's got the shots. Gets the kill and denies the res attempt as well as Big Goose. They push over and finish off Rain.
That's not something you see every day, but obviously he didn't have the ability to fly away there, so not purely his fault, but Mirror with a nice little chase down, and Big Goose is going to try to hound down McGravy, who gets the Mega Pack. Actually, you need to be careful about chasing McGravy too far here, as he's very likely to get out, and they don't want to waste too many cooldowns. He actually gets the turret, too.
Coalescence coming in. Rain going to be run down. Space gets that one. Follows up for a melee hit to completely shut down the Pharmacy duo. Lastro, yeah, not much that he can do. Here comes in from around the corner to show some support for his napping comrade. Back over onto the point. 51.5% is built up for the Valiant. So, you know, good little distraction techniques coming through. It does net them something.
Yeah, I mean, the backdoor ends up being pretty successful here. They're going to need a lot more success than that, though, to finish A and move into B. Dreamer going to try to come in for perhaps a big pile driver.
Notice him yet? Well, now they certainly have. He'll roll out, goes up onto the high ground to contest space. As the turret gets finished off, a little bit of damage coming through as they get halted together, but if they're back over onto the point, and they're continuing to accrue more and more percentage. 57, moving up now past 60. The minefield will get dropped in. Pile driver not going to find too much. See the freeze coming out from the blizzard there. Birdring locking up McGravy, trying to get a finish on that mech, but the pocket healing starts coming through, and he just couldn't reliably stay that far enough forward. Was way too low, so they don't knock McGravy out. Now McGravy going to be using that self-destruct. Doesn't lead to any kills, but makes it back into the mech safely. Birdring stuck on his own wall, does get finished off by the rockets. And this will be the cleanup here in the end for the Valiant.
Yeah.
A little bit of a time bump, so 3:44.
And, you know, Achilles, I feel like the Gladiators have this issue where they're taking these really unnecessary fights. I mean, when you lose A, you lose A. You got to let it go. You know, they're being clingy here. I mean, they're just overcommitting to the point. They're coming back in, trying to take these fights, trying to delay, and giving the Valiant all sorts of chances. And the old 2CP, before the changes, that might have actually been a double cap, staggering like that.
Yep. Well, Bob tossed out over onto the point, Molten Core thrown in on top of him to try and burn him down. We'll finally be able to finish him off as Mira's going to be taking a nap. They wake him up in the rudest way possible. Now jump away from the self-destruct. Shax rejoining here over towards the low ground. Gets rid of the turret. Shaz completely gets rolled over by Dreamer, but Shax pulls back in. Does get mowed down by OG. Still under a bit of fire, nearly gets knocked onto the low ground, tries to retreat and get behind that barrier to stay safe, but just can't get any healing, cannot stay in the fight. They finish him off, they pop space out of the Mexum. Now there's no tank line for the Gladiators to play behind. They have to try and wait for OG to get back over and start placing new barriers. Knocked off, killed in midair, space goes down, and McGravy finds the better of Mira, who is since swapped over onto the Soldier 76. One tick gonna be snatched up as Dreamer. Final drives his way up onto the awning. And Obus is out onto Shax. He pushes forward, the cap coming through, and they will just have it. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. So only a minute and 24 used to cap B.
Yeah, and it is a double cap at the end of the day. I mean, it's a long one. It's not instantaneous by any means, but the Gladiators overcommit to the B defense, don't have a great setup for, or excuse me, the A defense, don't have a great setup for B. And you see Birdring with the interesting Ashe match swap, you know. I mean, Birdring, a great Widowmaker player in his own time, but you know, he doesn't have that available, so he swaps over to Ashe out of perhaps desperation, but it's not going to give you the same staying power, the same sort of pick potential to slow a B push like that. And Dreamer looks like a god, not only with the back cap threatens on A, forces Gladiators out of position, which cost them A in the first place, then comes to B, helps clean up the defense, helps slow down the, you know, stagger attempts that we saw from the Gladiators. You see the Batiste coming through, he's trying to set up an immortality field, and just non-stop, Dreamer was pushing members away, he was getting kills, rotating around to the mini health pack, then coming back to the point, the minefield comes down. Really great Wrecking Ball performance out of Dreamer that helps them get that double cap. In a time bank that could have been really bad, ends up being 220. And the Valiant look like they absolutely could bring this series back if they keep playing like this, and if the Gladiators keep underestimating them. I feel like it's a lack of respect we're seeing on some of these where guys are just saying, look, we can win this fight no matter what. Let's just fight for A. There's just no reason. They could have just regrouped for B and gotten a better time themselves.
Well, going to be a lot more of the same here for the Valiant on the defense with the swap out of Dreamer on the Winston instead of the Wrecking Ball. OG going back to spawn will just be moving over onto the Orisa. So it seems like they want to go for that slow and steady pressure push over onto the point. As they will try to rely on Birdring to get some nice pickoffs here with the Hangzhou.
Yeah, completely different.
Nope, never mind.
Yeah, he's going to swap. Completely different style of play here for the Gladiators, just playing that double shield, May Reaper, extremely meta, extremely anger-inducing to those who like to play, or like to watch hit scan, etc. But going to be a lot of time bought here already, though, just from the hero swaps alone.
Well, shots coming through, and Mirror hits the ground. No way to bring him back into the fight. It's going to be a wrapper on the backhand side. You can hear those dinks flying. KSP already at 61% of the Bob charge. Barely, yep.
Don't you dare walk in Birdring.
See him. Yeah, doesn't quite see him, it would seem, but that's going to be OG eliminated. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Gladiators, like, why aren't you just jumping off the backside of the point right now?
Yeah, I know, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I'm starting to get frustrated here. I've got no stake in this race, but I'm just watching this, like, Like, Birdring's about to poke his head around the corner. I'm like, he knows you're there. He goes onto the point, but to fight for what? I mean, literally, what is he gaining from that fight? It's time to reset, my dudes.
Trying to get the nice back cap going.
He didn't get any real ult charge from that. And now we're going to
Yeah.
see Teleporter used here from Symmetra. Mirror's going to swap over to try to take that, straight up aggressive fight on the point itself. Skip the Ashe poke.
Well, good luck getting to the teleporter because he just knocks you away from it. Dreamer with the primal rage completely dislodges Mirror. Now the bomb tossed in by KSP gets rid of Big Goose. And you can see Kinetic Grasp not really going to be doing too much there for space. It does allow him to help stay alive, but Dreamer likely could have just stuck around and tried to finish him off. Instead, Birdring will be able to find the Angry Monkey and get rid of him. Also follows up for McGravy, so takes down both of those tanks. Dynamite very far forward here from KSP. Gets a bit of damage in onto the Reaper, but nothing too meaningful. Death Blossom used, Birdring manages to find 2 plus the turret. It seems like Gladiators finally will be able to break through as KSP, is going to get finished off.
Yep, they get into the point. Birdring gets that kill, then retreats back with his team instead of allowing KSP to get a chasing kill there with the dynamite going off, etc. He rotates back into his team. They all come through together onto the point with the numbers advantage they have. A little bit more passive play from Birdring here. Finally, much missed, I think, on Hanamura. Turret placement here is good, very frustrating to try to break through that if you are the Gladiators. If you commit all the way around the corner, you're going to take a lot of poke damage from KSP, and then Dreamer can come in and look for the chase kill. You've got Gravitic Flux as well. Gladiators don't have a lot of tools to break this first push, break with this first push, excuse me. But it's the next ones you got to worry about.
Drag forward there on McGravy. He goes up into the air. A lot of members caught with the Gravitic Flux, just going to be nullifying a lot of those sound barrier shields that come through. Does get rid of those. Dreamer jumping up onto the high ground. Primal Rage now ready to go, but looks like he can just hold on to that as he already finishes off Birdring, which is going to be the biggest threat to him. As a Winston will still go ahead and use the Primal Rage and just gets free smacks onto OG because he's fortified, so he doesn't go anywhere. So he just keep chasing behind him. Doesn't have to leap anywhere. Smacks him to death. They follow up for the finishing blows.
I mean, it just kind of comes through the way I was saying it earlier. They go around the corner to break the turret. They get fluxed, and then you see Dreamer come through. He's doing a ton of damage, chases down and finishes off some targets. And then it's the Ashe B defense I was talking about where she has a lot of sight lines that helps clean up the rest. Mirror gets a kill here onto a very aggressive KSP. It's going to be a small window of time where they can actually try to get this high ground controlled. Mirror's going to have Blizzard. But so far, so good here for the Valiant. They're definitely going to have a better time bank.
Well, Stun's coming out, trying to get the kill there onto Birdring. Doesn't quite happen. Turret for now. Going to be the only thing falling. And Shax just gets a straight headshot on the Shaz!
Unbelievable.
Well, time to reset, go again.
They're going to
Dreamer
stick
down
around
below half,
here.
still getting shipped, but OG is going to be gone now. Mirror pushing forward, trying to get a freeze onto the Winston, so he just goes to the high ground, kills the Soldier 76.
Gladiators are in trouble.
Gladiators have no idea what to do!
Yeah, they're in trouble. I mean,
They're getting hard outplayed and out-rotated right now.
They overcommitted to so many fights. It's almost like the one time where they could have committed and stayed because Shaz going to be back so soon. They got a little bit of cold feet because, they weren't sure if can I commit here? Is this going to be another one of those fights we overcommit to? No, let's back off. Valiant get the chasing kills. They're about to have the big 6 for the defense here. Mirror's on Tracer. They don't even really have a comp. Like, why is Birdring still on Soldier 76? Sure, you can get a lot of value out of high ground, but you got to get there first, and it's so difficult to break through with what the Valiant are running. This is this is actually out of control.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Dreamer's about to have the Primal Rage ready to go. Dynamite ensures the bomb is online. And KSP can just keep shooting down the hallway. Jumps off the high ground. They finally apply enough pressure to go ahead and get rid of that Ashe. Try to use the bomb. Looks like didn't quite go through. Molten Core is up the high ground, and OG of all people gets caught in it. They burn him to the ground. Dreamer is still just smacking people around. Doesn't matter if you're on Soldier 76, your legs do not move fast enough to get you away from an angry Winston.
Yeah, it looks like a game 5. Birdring's not even swapping off of the Soldier. And I don't like to make broad sweeping predictions, but I don't think that tack visor is going to finish the map for them. I don't know if it's going to get any kills. And they just keep taking the same approach angle, trying to get through the center to set up for his damage, try to set up for his tack visor, but KSP has that area controlled. There's no time here, and they're not building ultimates right now. Shaz swapping over to Ana, which I think is a smart choice, but it's just too late. OG doesn't have Primal. And he's dead.
OG's dead. OG doesn't have life left in him. He just gets melted by the turret.
The attack visor, let's look at it.
Out, but what, who are you going to shoot? There's no one there. Oh, look, it's a D.Va. She's got D-Matrix. Nothing happens.
Hey, what is happening here?
Nothing for the Gladiators. Into the back line. Great hit there from Mirror. Has to delay a little bit longer for that dynamite to go off, so he does keep himself safe. That's a huge opening pick, and now they're starting to actually cap on the point. Mirror trying to get things rolling. Has that pulse bomb ready to go. Lobs it down onto the ground. Doesn't get any damage done, but they're still moving up. Second tick getting ready to come in. Valiant, can they turn this one around? McGravy going to be taken out of the mech. The Immortality field just a little bit too late for that one. Helix rockets out. Managed to take down Lastro as well. Rain trades out one, however, as Big Goose Space and Mirror will all fall. Primal Rage is out from OG, but KSP swaps over onto the Tracer. Burns down Birdering. He's back over onto the point where OG is by himself, trying to buy some time, trying to stay inside that bubble to keep himself alive, but it is not going to happen. OT bleeds away, and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are delving into the depths of a 5-map series. The Valiant looking to pull off this reverse sweep, and the Gladiators just looking completely and utterly lost.
Yeah, Birdring, man, it's not 2017. That's not Fisher. That's OG. You're not on Chengdu Panthera, and I don't think you should be trying to run a Soldier 76 into B of Hanamura long term. Gladiators just look completely lost, and I don't know if it's because the Ashe is starting to find value. They're struggling with Shax on the Torbjorn, and they're trying to find other ways to break this. But a lot of time we're seeing them swap heroes to contest the point when it shouldn't be contested, and then sometimes trying to rush back to the point. We saw it there on Hanamura B. We saw it on Hollywood C as well, where you rush back with Soldier, then stay with it for some reason. Decision-making on the fly here is just not quick-paced for the Gladiators, and I wonder if it's almost just mental fatigue here, or perhaps even tilt at this point. The frustration, you can almost see it. They're starting to play a little bit worse than how they were at the beginning of the series.
Yeah, I mean, it could be all of the above. Either way, really rough tidings for them. Now their backs are the ones against the wall, and the reverse sweep is this close to being pulled off by the Valiant. We're going to see if they can actually finish this one off and get themselves that victory, maintain the lead historically in the battle for LA when we come back from a quick break. Because, I mean, don't go anywhere, guys. If you're even thinking about it, don't do it, because this is just such an insane series. You can't miss the end of it.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. Overwatch League online play is brought to you by Xfinity. Experience gamer-grade internet with Xfinity X5.
And welcome back, guys. Here we go. Game 5 coming up yet again. Feels like we've been having so many Game 5s as of late, and a lot of those have resulted in the actual reverse sweep coming through. Philadelphia able to get one just last week amongst other teams, so why not the Valiant here in the battle for LA? Gladiators started this off so well, Wolf, but suddenly they've just been dragged down into the mud. When the Valiant
it's
just
the Chengdu style, you know, where you just play your own thing, you break the meta, you keep playing it, and the thing is, with hero pools, you don't often have an established meta, right, because it changes every week. But this is one of those hero pools where you almost are guaranteed this hero combination, the double shields coming through, the Reaper of some sort with either May or Doomfist. And regardless, Valiant is just going to play their Ashe. They're going to swap Shax into a million different heroes, whether it's the Pharah, the Torbjorn, etc. They're running some Tracer. Yep. The Gladiators are just overcommitting to defenses. They're overcommitting to attacks. They're running a soldier to try to run back to the point, and then Birdring is unwilling to swap for some reason because he wants Tac Visor, which is like never killed anyone ever in the Overwatch League. So, I don't know. I feel like the Gladiators played fantastic first two maps, and then the third map was pretty good, and then suddenly everything is just fallen by the wayside, and decision making is not there.
No, it is not. But here we go. Taking a look at our map set, it will be Ilios, our final map of control to close us out and see who will be victorious in the battle for LA. Valiant are just so very close, but control, it can be extremely swingy. This is the map where lesser teams can beat superior squads. And we'll see how it goes here, because it's always a little bit of a toss-up.
You know, you see series go this way a lot of the time in esports, and Overwatch in particular as well. You know, if this was at the LA studios last year, I mean, can you imagine the crowd and how insane this would be? And then you could really say, okay, I get it. The Gladiators are under so much pressure right now. The crowd's cheering against them. They've lost all momentum. And yes, it still is a battle for LA. This is online, though. You've got to keep your wits about you at this point. You can't let this series slip away. You know, at 2 and 3, the Gladiators should, on paper, have a higher start to the season. You don't want to lose this series. You can't lose this one. You can't let this one go away. You can't get reverse swept here. You've got to keep your wits about you. And it is going to be the Pharah and the Ashe once again. And Birdring matches. He's tired of of dealing with that Ashe on his own.
All right, now I'm very intrigued. I like this move to just go ahead and fully invest in the style of the Valiant. They have not been able to best it, so try to match it instead and see if you can come out on top. Shax, however, getting a nice body tag there onto Mirror. Weakens him considerably. Dreamer rolls back over, tries to play defensive here for the rest of his squad. Has to get that mini pack, but is still down around half HP. Sleep Dart connects onto McGravy, but he's going to be woken up pretty quickly thereafter. Point nearly getting capped by the Gladiators. Pile driver goes in from Dreamer, knocks space up into the air, but he's still going to be rather healthy, and McGravy has been antied. Trying to stay alive. Nano boost used on the side of the Valiant. KSP finally finds a kill, finds a second one, gets rid of Birdring, gets rid of Mirror. Big Goose, one more shot will get taken down. Lastro manages to find him with the damage over time.
You know what? I feel like I gotta. Well, this is actually going to be somewhat of a counter to my point potentially, but I was gonna say I gotta call Birdring out here. His pride is blinding him. I feel like. Are you really gonna beat KSP in his own game when they clearly prepared this? He will in this fight. But in the long term, will this work? I have serious questions about this, but hard to judge him when he just got a pick onto KSP and won them this fight.
Yeah, and then a second one onto Big Goose. Off the side. Gladiators still looking as the Nano Boost goes forward onto the Ashe. This is definitely something that we don't see very often. We're not playing this anymore, Wolf. But shots continue to fly in from the flank. Birdring has the bomb online. We'll see when he chooses to use it. Dreamer receiving the Nano Boost from Lastro helps keep him alive for a little bit longer as the shots continue to come through, but that was a bit wanting from Shax. Manages to find one, but he gets taken out by Mirror's Barrage, and then gets taken out by Rain, who does not get the res coming back through. Big Goose brings Shaz back into the fight now. Lastro gets taken down. Rain will get bombed on by that bio nade. The Valiant, they have lost control. 16% currently on the board for the Gladiators. To the 36 that Valiant was able to pick up.
Well, I mean, Birdring has made me eat my words. I mean, he did before I even finished my my point. I was going to say, can he beat KSP, you know, when Valiant have clearly prepared this? And right now, it's working pretty well. Obviously, they had an ult advantage. They had sightline advantage, which doesn't make this a straight-up 1v1. It also doesn't make the Pharah fight fair either. Not going to be a Pharah fight anymore, though, with Shaq swapping over to Tracer. Let's see if Birdring can maintain control. They've taken the lead in terms of that percentage point. And positionally, they're going to have a good time unless Shax gets into that back line.
Well, they need to get him into a position to actually deal with Birdring and try and get rid of him. Mira taking a little bit of damage. Coming in from that low ground, but Gravy slides the bomb up over the top of the fence, but will not be able to find any picks with that. Shax goes over onto the side.
Tries.
Birdring there for the second, but just can't finish him off. The Nano Boost comes in clutch from Shaz. Keeps Birdring alive and ready to go. Shax waiting, gets some headshots through, is trying to one-clip him, but the Nano Boost was still there. Dynamite from Birdring, got rid of Blaster. Now McGravy going to be taken out of the mech and killed off. KSP gets rid of Mirror, but can they deny a res from Big Goose? Seems like he might not have to use it here. KSP, however, does get a headshot onto Birdring, and Space will just go ahead and nom up that pulse bomb from Shax, completely nullifying that.
They need to get the cap here.
Yeah, fight's still scrappy, still very much all over the place. Space with the self-destruct won't be able to find anything. As Shaz gets taken down by KSP, continuing to put his team over that finish line. Birdring, oh, he dips down into the pit, pops himself back up, but it does not matter. Shax is ready to go. Scoops the kills here on the back end of the fight. It's at 99% when Valiant finally regained control. They're starting at 40% right now.
They have sightline control. They have Shax to try to help control these chokes. Birdring's coming back on the Ashe. He has Bob. They should know this. Shax might get a, might force a little slowdown of this. Obviously, you can see him hiding there below, just below this bridge, this catwalk. But getting to Birdring is going to be very difficult. He's not going to be able to get a pick. And Birdring even gets the kill on KSP.
Yeah, the res comes back in. Dreamer pushing over onto the other side. And oh, no! Space just gives him a gentle shove, and he goes off the side of the map. Big Goose, however, is eliminated. You see the bomb out. Does manage to track down Shax, eliminates the Tracer. KSP under some fire, goes lower, but gets rid of OG. Lastro now going to fall, and McGravy gets knocked out of the mech. It's just a constant back and forth battle, but Gladiators manage to get entrenched on the point, and they get that flip coming back through into their favor. Valiant now need to keep playing up. Dreamer falling low, pops the Primal Rage. Will be able to elongate the fight a little bit longer. Drop down from Space as he goes into the back line. He's desperately trying to finish off Rain. He finally managed to do so. KSP and Shax now, McGravy all gone. Dreamer dead on the back end of that one. 176. Gladiators take round one of Ilios, but what happened?
I mean, a crazy fight that, or a crazy battle, I should say, for this first round that even our observers struggled to keep up with because it was so crazy. But the real story is, I mean, honestly, Birdring did not beat KSP. Space beat the Valiant. Space was putting so much pressure on everyone, including KSP, non-stop pressuring the backline, pressuring the supports, keeping Birdring alive. With Shaz as well, the nano boost we saw in a Birdring, keeping him alive against the dive we were seeing from Shax. Absolutely insane plays from Space. The 360 spin around, grab the pulse bomb that we saw. Space is playing out of his mind right now. And yes, you know, Birdring is a great hit scam player. He brings out the Ashe. He meets the challenge, which is extremely fun to see. But he would not have won that so convincing without Space's help. And Space is looking really good here on this final map. He's looked great all series. No Ashe this time for Birdring, at least not to start, though. See if that changes. This is going to be the Reaper Doomfist for now.
Yeah, shifting back over onto this. The Seismic Slam not going to be able to get too much, but Shax will be sent off the side of the map by Big Goose, who, you know, Lastro died in midair by Birdring, but that was really going to be another group there from Big Goose. Rain does reciprocate, however, but again, Birdring is there. Cuts down yet another support, so this is going to be the fight victory in all likelihood for the Gladiators. Just trying to finish that one off as KSP got a last-second kill on the Mirror.
KSP going to try to get this high ground here. You'd have to think on the ruins on the Valiant side and try to poke out Birdring, but it's going to be really difficult. Yeah, he swaps. I was going to say, it's going to be really difficult to get more as the Gladiators can just back off. He swaps to Tracer, so we're going to see Tracer Torb as the push. Not a lot of sustainability in this, in the long fight, but can get some backline picks potentially. OG low.
Working their way up. Yeah, OG gonna fall. Shaz just couldn't quite get that Coalescence online. And even if he had, not sure if it would have been enough healing to actually keep him topped up. KSP into the back, trying to get some shots there, but the Moira Having that self-healing coming through constantly is just a bit too rough. Big Goose tries to skate around the side, and again, Big Goose over the ledge to finish him off, then recalls back up top to safety. Follows up with the headshots onto Shaz, and oh my goodness, this is just such a chaotic mess. I love it.
Great fifth game. Great fifth map. They have the point control now. Shax has the Torbjorn pick here with Molten Core almost at the ready. Mirror is going to mirror that, pun intended in this case, and grab the Torb, but he's very far behind an ult charge, so even though they have the control meter advantage right now, you know, that might be all for nothing if Shax can get this Molten Core and turn this fight into a huge ult advantage for the Valiant.
Ooh, Pulse nearly finding the stick, but KSP just can't quite get it. Coalescence going to be rolling through from Lastros. He drops down. Sound Barrier comes out, does not... Yeah, I'm sorry, that does not help keep Blaster alive, obviously, as the self-destruct does come through. Birdring now going to be using that Death Blossom. Gets many an assist there, and that will be the cleanup on the fight. Gladiators back in control. Didn't lose the lead, now at 50%.
This is such a huge turnaround, too, because Shax had the Molten Core, and that's almost a surefire win in a fight like that. And it just does not work out that way. Birdring gets more value out of his Death Blossom. They still get to keep Coalescence. They have defensive advantage here. They have this controlled. And all the Valiant have, all they have, is a self-destruct. I don't think they're going to get lucky with this one. This is a really tough fight for them. And they only really get one chance at this, one shot. Here comes the bomb.
Yeah, bomb up over
Gets
the top,
Mirror.
finds Mirror, had nowhere to go, and OG got taken down to KSP. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, continue to chase forward. McGravy will be able to roll over Birdring. Shaz falls as well. Valiant now making their way over to the point. Will be able to get this flip into their favor as they finish off space. Hammer kill from Jax onto Big Goose.
Okay, they got it. The bomb was good enough, actually, you know? Players making me eat my words. He gets the angle there where Mirror can't escape. Gets that blow-up kill. And everything's changed, but still, Gladiators with a massive advantage right now. They're going to have to be careful of the Valiant of getting anybody picked. There might just be the end of the series for them. And the reverse sweep taken away. Mirror very close to Molten Core of his own. He's going to split his turret with where he stands. He's about to get it.
We need to win out these last two rounds, but Shax is the first one to fall. Birdring pushes forward, manages to get rid of the Torbjorn. Now the Molten Core going to be coming through, just making sure to cover all of the ramps so that the Valiant have extreme difficulty in trying to get over onto the point. Space, the self-destruct will get rid of Dreamer. Didn't have anywhere safe enough to hide. Flip comes back through, 92% here. Valiant, what have they got? Dreamer's going to swap over onto the Wrecking Ball. It looks like McGravy likely going to have to be the one to try and tag in, but he's already
so rough they can't.
Mech, and they just can't get there. Oh no! What a way to lose the series. They get so damn close. Down to the wire, could take us to a final round. Couldn't touch the point.
Space.
And that's it.
Space did it. Space did it against his old team. And he keeps LA Gladiators ahead. 3 wins in a row now. And they are maintaining their all-time record advantage versus the LA Valiant. He does it against his former team. He lost against the Gladiators twice in a row in 2019. And now, in 2020, in their first matchup of the season, he defeats his old team and actually his old rival. He helps them do it. And an absolute phenomenal performance from him throughout the series. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
The play we saw from him on Ilios, I mean, out of control to help Birdring out when he was playing Ashe. Insane.
Just, yeah, really great performance from him in particular. Really weird performance from everybody in particular across this entire series. But that being said, we still do have to name a player of the match presented by Xfinity. Well, take a look at this one, and well, there you have it.
It's Space. I mean,
yeah,
obviously.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. He's the one who.
You were just singing him so much praise. I wanted you to just kind of take it over and go.
You know,
with it.
I mean, look, he played well on the first few maps. He looked solid on Hollywood, controlling high and low ground. But in that last map, I mean, he really solidified it. The defense matrix play we saw, the absorbs we were seeing on ultimates, protection of Birdring, the protection of the rest of his team. His Sigma play was pretty good as well, even when there were moments where he had to defend against both Pharah and Ashe, and it was tough. It was there were a few struggle moments, but not from just him in particular. The team itself had some weird issues on the maps 3 and 4 there, but
Yeah,
they close it out in the end, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
indeed. Yeah, weird moments for sure, but a very fun series overall. Utterly chaotic. At some points, idiotic. It didn't make much sense, but it was extremely fun to see. The Gladiators try to put up with that much chaos that was being brought to the table by the Valiant, and then actually just, be brought down to that level as well, run the Ashe themselves and whatnot. So it was a very fun series to go through.
And Ashe, we're gonna see more Ashe potentially in the Overwatch League.
I hope so.
Knowing
I
our
hope this was
community,
a good enough
though,
showing.
knowing our community, if we see this for the rest of this weekend and then a little bit next week, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, I can't! I hope Ashe is banned. It's just only Ashe. I'm so frustrated. It's just Ashe all the time. I wanted to see Ashe so much, but now I hate her." Stay positive, guys.
see.
We got Ashe, all right?
We'll see if she gets taken out of the hero pool, but something tells me when Widow comes back in, Ashe is probably not going to be seeing nearly as much play. But there you go. Congratulations to Space on winning our Player of the Match presented by Xfinity. But yeah, what a series. I believe this is now tied up 4-4, the overall record for these guys, as well as tied in maps because of this.
Yeah, that's right. I misspoke earlier. It said they were in the lead. They are actually tied 4-4. That's correct. Maps,
because this is a +3 for the Gladiators,
maps,
and they were down by 1.
Tied
So
as well, yes.
yeah, so completely tied up across the board.
19-19.
Pretty insane to see there at the end of it all. But well, there you have it. Those are our 2 series for the day. But of course, we have another interview coming up. We have Zoe standing by with none other than Space himself. So let's go ahead and hear how he feels after this victory. Or perhaps she's not ready yet. Never mind.
We will eventually be there.
There is an interview coming up with Space. We just got to get him on the horn still. I thought we were ready to go, but there's a lot going on. I couldn't hear the call, but it's all right, guys. But yeah, I don't know. Wolf, do you expect to see more Ashe this weekend, or do you think that this is kind of a Valiant thing only? Because I'm thinking that this is not going to sway other teams' opinion.
I don't think other teams are really going to play that much Ashe. I think we'll see it in Asia a little bit. I don't think it's going to become the standard by any means. But usually with these sorts of things, it's not just one team who's done it. It's a bunch of teams who tried it in scrims, and then some people are seeing success, but most teams decide it did okay in scrims, so I really don't want to go down this road. Whereas Valiant committed hard in this series. The same way I think the Dallas Fuel decided, okay, Tracer's doing pretty okay versus Torbjorn. A lot of teams are seeing that, but they're not going to commit because it's really tough. And we're going to commit to that. We're going to go down that road. We're going to play Tracer into a soft counter, the Torbjorn. It takes a lot of courage as a coach and as a team to make that tough decision against a favorite opponent in this case as well. I think most would argue. But they did it. They almost won the series, so can't fault them for that. But yeah, I don't think, given that there's so little time to prepare between now and tomorrow, for example, when the rest of our Western matches are happening, that teams can really pivot their strategies that quickly.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who pushed for this more. Was it KSP saying, "Hey, look, I've got this Ashe. I play her super well. I can make this work," or was it maybe even the coach saying, "Hey, your Ashe is really good. We should try this strategy"? I'm actually really interested to see where that original idea had actually been birthed, and who was fully responsible for it. Because either way, it was absolutely stellar to watch. Again, I'm extremely biased for Ashe play. Was a one-trick Ashe player for a very, very long time, but yeah, I'm happy to see more of that. Even though you and I are done doing commentary for the weekend, hopefully I get to just sit back, tomorrow or in the overnight games in Asia and get to watch some more Ashe play come through. So I'll have my fingers crossed that continues.
I think we might see, a little bit more of it in some niche situations for sure. It's not like it's.
We need to bring D.Va back out.
Yeah,
get D.Va back out here.
Hey, the Asia teams, I think they might try it.
I think that would be pretty great. So hopefully we can see that. Somebody like Bacon Jack, especially coming up for the Chengdu Hunters, I think would actually be super ridiculous to see on Ashe. I think he could pilot that pick extremely well.
Yeah, the pick itself, I think, was partially used because there's a pretty high chance you're going to see Reaper, and we did see a lot of Reaper. Doomfist, she's pretty solid against Doomfist. You can outrange these DPS heroes. May, the Icicle, yeah, sometimes you can lose those duels, but it's pretty unlikely, especially when you're getting pocketed. So you kind of have this ability to outpoke and outrange, the same way a McCree would be used oftentimes, or especially a Widowmaker. And because, you know, most teams just assumed that no one was going to be running Ashe, you kind of have this surprise factor. It was dealt with pretty well by the Gladiators overall, minus maps 3 and 4 there, where it got a little bit shaky. But I think it was a sound strategic choice. It just didn't feel like it was going to work, especially after the first map, where you could see it almost working. And, you know, the damage output wasn't good enough, the pick potential wasn't there, and it was like, oh, KSP is almost making this work. But at the end of the day, he did make it work, partly through the help of the of the Gladiators' indecision on some of those maps.
Yeah, well, absolute insanity there from that series, but Wolf and I are done talking about it. Instead, we're going to have Zoe finally go ahead with that interview with Space, and we'll get some more insights from him. Zoe, take it away.
Thank you guys so much. I was wondering how many more minutes we can actually make you fill until you were running out of things to say. But no, Space came to the rescue and is joining us now for a quick chat. First and foremost, of course, welcome to our show. And also, thank you so much for joining us. That was quite a match, and it went the distance. Maybe run us through what's going on in your head right now. Did you expect this to be such a close series in the end?
No, honestly, we thought it was going to be quick, like 3-0, because we expected them to play Rush, but they played like Dive, which we never played against, so we just had to adapt to that.
Okay, so if we're looking at the adaptations you guys have made, obviously I don't think you guys expected to go up against an Ashe and then later on against an Ashe-Pharah combo. What kind of changes did you guys have to make to not just your playstyle, but also potentially to the actual composition you guys are going to play?
For our playstyle, we just had to slow down, like think about our movements, focus their Orisa more instead of like diving their backline, which they're playing super far every single fight. And then composition, we just decided to mirror them because we knew in mirror would be better than them, so that was like easy for us.
Okay, well, like that took 5 maps for you guys to actually pick up an Ashe and the Pharah yourselves. Who made that call? Who was the person in charge there?
David, our head coach. He was just like, don't overthink the picks, just mirror them and we'll win for sure. Like, you guys are thinking too much and just mirror and we'll win.
All right. Now, you're saying the coach made that decision. What's you guys' setup right now? Like, are you all in a house together? Is everyone at home? Are you all like connected via voice? Like, what's the quarantine setup for your team?
We're all in a team house, so we're all playing next to each other.
Okay, that's certainly gonna make it easier for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the energy is much better when we're together, and like when people are alone, I feel like it's easier for them to tilt. But when we're together, like, there's no tilting at all.
All right. So who's your best quarantine buddy? Like, who would anyone out there want to be in quarantine with?
Mirror, probably.
Mirror?
Mirror just keeps it alive always. Like, he's just the funniest kid to be around for sure.
All right. Well, that's great. Unfortunately, we'll never know because we're not going to answer you guys. However, so I took some. I went on a search through the mighty interwebs. It didn't come very far, but I took a question from the audience for you. I'm going to read this out. It's from XX Mercymain 666 _ definitely not Custa. How's that trader life treating you?
It's good. Honestly, I'm living lavish out here. Like, we got a home gym, we got a pool. Like, trading size was honestly the best thing possible. And we just caught the dubs, so like, I'm happy with it for sure.
Yeah, now that you're with the Gladiators are edging ahead in the Battle for LA score. Are you the reason for it?
Of course.
So what's happening? Of course.
Yeah. Nothing to say, bro.
Love it, love it, love the confidence. Now, moving forward, I mean, we're talking about being meta-proof for all of those teams. Do you feel like your team has that meta-proofness? Not sure that's a word, probably not. But is there anything which can throw you guys off of your game? Since seemingly Pharah and Ashe are not doing the trick.
No, I think if we prepare properly, we're completely fine. And as long as we adapt properly, like, I think our problem this match was just adjusting, and we kind of choked on that. But if we really have to, we can mirror and out-mechanic anybody. So I think we're good, definitely on the mechanics.
All right. So where do you see yourself at the end of the season? Do you think you're going to make it all the way to the top, or definitely top 5?
Yeah, definitely playoffs. Like, playoffs for sure. And then it just depends on keeping the momentum from there. But, like, nothing less than playoffs, and we just grind it out from there.
That's good. That's a good aspiration to have. What other teams do you think you're going to meet in the playoffs, given what we've seen so far from all your opponents?
Definitely Shock, for sure. Because Shock, like, they started rusty, but they're definitely going to be a top dog no matter what. And then maybe Vancouver. I think Vancouver is probably still figuring stuff out, and I think they'll be really strong still. And I think New York, I'd give New York probably. But I think Atlanta is a team that people are going to sleep on this season for sure. Like, Atlanta's the dark horse team that is going to have an opportunity to actually win the season.
So if we're looking at all those other teams and where they could potentially end up in this season, what do you think, which kind of style bodes better for teams? Is it the ones who can just rely on mechanical skills and go for comfort picks and kind of, you know, grind it out? Or do you think it is super important to like find the right meta every week and like stick to those kind of composition? Who is finding more success?
I think the team that has a playstyle is probably the best team right now. When the meta's swapping every week, if you have a consistent playstyle, like no matter what the comps are, if you just like play really aggressive or play really passive, then you're gonna do good. But if you're like a team that's kind of in the middle and like you don't know if you want to go aggro with this meta, or you don't know if you want to play passive, or like you have no idea, then I think you're gonna struggle. But once you find your playstyle, you'd be good.
So how would you describe your playstyle?
Definitely aggressive. We play really
Definitely
aggressive.
Yeah, and we enjoy watching those aggressive plays. Now, that's already it. Thank you so much, Space, for joining me here for our post-game interview. Good luck in your next matches. We're now heading into a very quick break, and afterwards we will be back with our Watchpoint post-show.